We've got audio and we've got video, and we may begin. Very well. Let's see everything on. Okay, looks fine. Shabbat Shalom, my most esteemed friends, honorable judges, LVE tribe, as well as everyone else accompanying us. On this rather precious, radiant, sunny day of Shabbat from California, the US of A, this is Shabbat, the 18th of Aviv, the first month. It's important of the year 5993 from creation. This corresponds to the 27th of April of the year 2024. We shall study yet another chapter of wisdom and discipline. And since for some it's already, and for the others, when the sun goes down, it begins, I used the title Bikkurim 2024. It's not that we're going to talk about Bikkurim a lot, but it is the preamble, the previous zone to that feast. We'll talk about a little bit about what Bikkurim means, and we'll also dedicate time to the questions. And if possible, we'll continue to advance in the book of Proverbs. Without any further ado, let's seek our Elohim. Beloved Yahweh, we give you thanks for this so precious day of Shabbat. I ask you that your blessing be in every home, and that today we're all together listening and learning and applying your wisdom. I ask you that soon you can get to the end of your own prophecies and fulfill your promises, that the kingdom of Babylon may fall and that the Son of Man may rule. We thank you for all this. I ask you that in this feast of Bikkurim, you can bless us with your spirit, with your wisdom, and that very soon we may see you face to face. We thank you for, in your precious name, for all this, in your name, Yahweh Sebaot, Alleluia. Yahweh has blessed with one more year of life the following members of the Eternal Truth: Jorge Lima Ortiz, Mexico; Jenny Jasmine Hernandez, Mexico; Rafael Sangrone Ramirez, Venezuela; Silvia Aceves Hernandez, Mexico; Alexia Montserrat Hernandez, Acapulco, Mexico; Isaac Miranda, El Salvador; Natalia Esmeralda Soylux, Guatemala; Yancherías Chirino, Curacao. For each and every one of you, a great big hug on behalf of all of us, the LVE lineage, and may Yahweh bless you greatly, and may it be your very last birthday, that is our wish, under this government of Babylon, and that your next birthday be under different terms, under the new and eternal government of the Mashiach. Brian, can you bring me, can you turn the shades right there a little bit so that we can get a little more light here? Yes, right there. The other one too. Yes. Very well. It is very difficult to get rid of the customs and the recordings that we have in our brain. Apparently, my nose is clogged, and here in California we had 2 or 3 days of cold after there haven't been heat, and apparently we have it too recorded in our mind that if we switch from heat to cold, we get a cold, and now my nose is clogged up. Things that I don't understand. How is it that the subconscious is so unconscious, right? Because he does not answer to the conscious. Situations are recorded there, that if you're barefoot and you feel a little bit of cold, because this week consciously I felt a little bit of cold. I was working outside and I felt cold, and I was sweating and I felt cold, and I knew, and I said, oh wow, now this programming is a lie. This cannot bring me down, but oh, how to change that? It is rather absolutely complicated, just like that, complicated. But those are the conditions and the terms which Yahweh gave us to live in this world. Gave us 70 years up until, and then it just becomes a torture until you get to 70. If you get to 70, time served, and the following is extra time, which is an extra torture. And those are the conditions of life that Yahweh gave us. Nothing favorable. They're all unfavorable, and we are already a bit sick and tired of those conditions, and we want for that to change. And the only way for it to change is for the Messianic era to come. As long as the Messianic era does not come, nothing will change. And we shall continue to have and be dealing with these problems that even if we are conscious of them, we cannot change certain things. It is rather brutal. Very well. As soon as the sun goes down today, we shall enter into a month, a day that it's a Shabbat as well. Today is a Shabbat. As soon as the sun goes down, which is Sunday, we enter into a non-laborable day once again. Why? Because the Feast of Pesach, now I understand that it's only one feast divided into different sections or different stages. The Feast of Pesach is divided between the 14th and when the Feast of Shavuot will end. Shavuot is not separated from Pesach. It is a part of the package of Pesach. It is only one feast with different stages. First, we've got Pesach, then we celebrate unleavened bread and the matzot, and within matzot and Pesach and matzot, we have the feast of the first fruits of barley, and afterward, 50 days afterward, comes the feast of Shavuot, which is the feast of the first fruit of the wheat. And everything is related one thing with another, and it is only one feast. We start by not eating leaven with the brand or the sign or the separation of the designated lamb, death of the lamb, the lamb resurrects. Leaven is not consumed, and then we end up eating bread with leaven. Apparently, it would seem crazy, but it is all one part of only one feast. We start without leaven, without life, and we end up having life. We end with a selection and death, and with power that descends from on high, which is Shavuot. So then, it is only one feast, and if due to not because of those things, but if this year is a special one for Yahweh and for us, then we could see, or certain events that have never been seen before could happen for Shavuot. If this is a year, if it's not, it'll be 2025 or 2026, or else it'll be 2027. I don't know. But I want you to keep all your attention because the feast of Pesach has not ended. It ends in Shavuot. And during the space that there is between Bikkurim and Shavuot, we have a countdown. And Yahweh said, and imposed, he said, you're going to count the weeks and the days. So then, it gives it a certain aspect of lots of expectation. Why? Because it's the only feast in which there is a countdown. We have to count, and that countdown that unites both feasts, it makes it only one feast. Because the countdown, precisely, which is a commandment to count it for the Torah and for all of Israel, and you have to understand it, that it makes it only one feast because the feast lasts this whole time. For example, when the Feast of Trumpets begins, or Yom Teruah, it doesn't say you shall count from this date. No, it says from the first day of the seventh month as Yom Teruah, And on the 10th day is Yom Kippur, and in 15 days the solemn feast of Sukkot begins, or Tabernacles. But during this one, there is a link from Bikkurim to Shavuot with a precise countdown of weeks, 7 weeks, and 50 days. That's why they call it, some people call it the Pentecost. Pentecost comes from Penta. Penta means 50. It is 50 days from the Feast of Bikkurim. That is why I tell you once again, it is not an independent feast. Shavuot is. It is a feast which is a part of Pesach. So that the entire package completely, I call it Pesach, which begins with Pesach and it finishes with Shavuot. So that we are in this feast, which is a long feast, which is a feast with lots of expectations. If something were to happen this year, if Yahweh wants it so, and I don't know, we could have time up until the day, the 50th, in other words, Shavuot. And within the 50th day or Shavuot, notice that Shavuot, I could have said on the 3rd month, at whatever days of Shavuot, of the month you'll celebrate Shavuot. No, they don't even mention it, that they're in the 3rd. It makes no importance for it to be in the 3rd month. The only important of Shavuot, it is that it's 50 days from Bikkurim. It doesn't say, we could have said so, on the 3rd month, on this day, you'll celebrate Shavuot. It doesn't say that. Shavuot is an extension and a countdown from Pesach. And getting to that countdown from Pesach, or passing through that extension, we've got 217, the famous 217, which is the 17th day of the 2nd month when the destruction began of the flood. So then it is very interesting, this whole period, that we'll be enjoying, living, waiting, and with our expectations to see if Elohim wants to do something. And if not, we'll still be here. We'll be instructing, we'll be learning, we'll be preparing ourselves, and waiting until Yahweh wishes to conclude his part of creation and give his authority to the Messiah. So then, tomorrow, we shall study a little bit more what Pesach could mean, just very lightly, just right over it. Shema Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Ekhad. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh Elohim, Yahweh is one. One alone, not two, not three. It is only one person. Proverbs 25:2. It is the glory of Elohim to conceal the word, yet honor of the king is to search out the word. Who is the king? It is the Mashiach. It is the glory of the Mashiach to understand, to take the cover off, to take off the entire part which belongs to the parables, and understand the real message. The rest, which are not the kings, they cannot take off the cover from the word. They can't. They can read it, can't take it off. Malachi 2:17, and that's why we've got here, this time Leslie placed them on their base. They're standing up well. We have Neo, and we have Trinity. They're standing as a protest. Malachi 2:17. Ye have wearied Yahweh with your words, and ye say, in what have ye wearied him? In that ye say, that whomever that doth evil pleaseth Yahweh, and in such he delighteth, or else, where is the Elohim of justice? Where is it? Actually, that question, I ask it myself every day. Where is the Elohim of justice? Because in the world, we only see injustice. Injustices at a smaller level, for example. I see that it's an injustice to know how the body works, that it records programs that we can't unentangle it, and we know that a person that is suffering a conflict like diabetes or another type of conflicts, and that they know the root and how it is produced, but they cannot entangle what is in the brain like a programmation. Because in our brain, within our brain, there are as if it were a different person to us. And no, we're the same person, but we don't control it. It's as if that person controls us. And it's got its own experience, and that's what they want. Consciously, we don't want to do something, but our subconscious says you're going to do it because is how I feel that it should be done. And if I tell you that you have to prepare yourself to fight, I have to raise your insulin up, and but I don't want to fight anybody. It says, but within, with the emotions that come up, how beautiful it would be to comprehend this and to be able to fix it. It is ugly to comprehend this and not being able to fix it. So I see it as an injustice because I understand that if we were not to comprehend this, okay, how are you going to fix something that you don't understand? Because you think that is an automatic by imperfect by default. But when I tell my brain I don't want to feel what I feel, it is not my case. It is the case. I am opening the case of everybody, all the people. I don't want to feel what I'm feeling. And I feel it either way. Because the brain produces that. You cannot explain it. It's as if it has life in itself. It'll do whatever the fuck it wants. That is what happens. We cannot add more memory. Because if I want to take more memory out and already to start to forget things and I want to add to it, it's all injustice. And it's not that I'm depressed at all, okay, mind you. I'm saying that when we say the reality of this life, and of course we protest unto Yahweh by saying, where is the Elohim of justice? It is not enough with what the Bible says or what we were taught and what the people believe, that God is love and that God is... It's not enough. Because we live and die in a reality that is horrible. So it's not enough. It is not enough to pray and to try to comprehend the apparent inactivity, I'll say apparently, of Yahweh. It is not enough for us, at least not for me, it's not enough. Because once I understand things, I want to change them. If we have a problem either with our parents or whatever, and you see it reflected that let's say we lost some hair, that would be enough as to be able to comprehend and say, oh, okay, I had that problem and I felt this, okay, now I repair it, and for the hair to be born again. With like horse hair, no, it doesn't happen. You know what the problem is and you can't fix it. We can barely even fix certain situations that we can fix and change when they affect us with something that is pretty new, recent, but it comes from childhood. It is very difficult because there are things that we forgot in our mind, and they are covered, but they are alive, and they react to that problem, and under certain circumstances, with certain elements, they revive certain problems that we consciously would not want to have. But they were recorded years ago, and we cannot even remember what happened, and maybe we have an allergy to a cat, and the body recognizes certain substances of the cat, or the texture of the cat, and I consciously said, no, from here on out, I record that it's been recorded, and I won't delete it. We can't delete it. You have to do a therapy of the fucking mother to see if you with tapping and a whole bunch of things and to try and to turn things around. But it should be a lot more simpler because there are problems in our mind that are recorded and we cannot change them. And if we're able to change them, it is very little. It is very little. And if you don't fix the problems within the time that is pretty much established for every ailment, you have something that is the conflictive mass, and that if you try to fix it, it kills you. Because lots of conflictive mass has already been produced, and so the fixture is death. To fix it, it would be dead. Like all the territory situations within the side of the man. lived from the male side, and also women, because women, they suffer a heart attack after the 50 when they lose the when they go into menopause, their brain changes from hemisphere and they start to think. I'm not saying like a man, but from the male side, and so the things they see them with other eyes per se, with another brain. They see it like the way men see it. It's very complicated. If you don't understand what I'm saying, don't you worry. But women, they start to see things, the properties as different, and that is why the statistics, which are all pretty much true, is that the heart attacks in women are after 50, not before. But men, they have it always. Why? Because the situation is the possessions. And I'm not talking about possessions of money or of houses or of things. I'm talking about the simpler possessions that could be what surrounds us. Our, I'm going to say family, using that term, our family. There could be everything that surrounds us for it to be simple. We take it as a possession. When there's a fight between possessions, they start with the loss of territory, and with the loss of territory, they start to the arteries of the heart to be opened, and when we recuperate something, they start to get healed. And if it lasts a whole year because of a territory fight, and then we recover it, we have a whole flood of the solution, and that's when you get a heart attack. So then one says, so then where is justice? And well, that is the question. I've said it many times. The laws of Hammer, personally, in my opinion, and I speak for myself, maybe I'm wrong, but I speak for myself, they're dog shit. They are dog shit because, yeah, in certain cases they do help us, and they help us change if we know them, because if you don't know them, there's no way of changing. You don't know where the problem resides, but if you already have a conscience that the problem resides there, we are forced to change it, but that doesn't mean that we're going to achieve the change. Even if we add all our efforts into it, it doesn't mean that we're going to achieve the change, because the harm or the program is stronger than us, just like that. The harm or the program is stronger than us. Even the doctor himself, Dr. Hammer himself, was a psychologist. And due to the characteristics that he saw, and because of his CT scan, he analyzed, he said, I have a problem, which is a constellation, which I cannot repair, because if I repair it, it unbalances, or either I become crazy or I become absolutely unusable. I can't remember the words that he used. He said, it's better I don't go to the psychologist anymore, because I don't want to repair myself. I cannot repair myself. If I repair it, I'm even more problems. So then there are things recorded in the brain, and we cannot change them, knowing everything that we know. And don't even mention about Dr. Hammer, knowing what he knew. He cannot change, because we don't have tools. If we were to have tools a lot more powerful, already knowing what happens to us, for example, how to work with animals if they have conflicts very much like ours, if there's no reasoning in them, you can't work with them. In ourselves, we cannot work until a certain point. So then everything is complicated. That's why we've got here Neo and Trinity asking, and me too, and you too. And we are sick and tired of living in this world under these conditions. When you know something better, this world becomes a torture. If you don't know, it's as if you live in Wonderland. Because you believe what the sign says, you believe what the news says, you believe that the whole world and everyone wants a new world. You think that the NASA is doing what's even impossible for us to be better humans. But once you open your eyes and you see that it's all the contrary, that we live in a flat earth, concealed, they lied to us since we were born. you get furious, you have no peace, you get anger, and that anger also is translated into emotional problems. And that wrath does not let you live in peace because you would want to erase. And I always remember because the movie Matrix is so well thought. I always remember the guy that decided to betray the group and reinsert himself back into the system to be able to enjoy the food, the women, life, knowing that it was a virtual world that was not real. But he was sick and tired of eating the dog shit food that they ate right there in that ship. He was sick and tired of living outside of the system. He preferred to give them all up and betray them. But in order for him to be reinserted, I really understand that way of thinking because sometimes you say, I would not want to know anything. I wish I would live in a world in the fantasy of believing in something that at least you live in a way without this wrath or this emotion which is contradictory to everything, but you live in a world that you at least believe that they tell you the truth. But to live in a world that is all lies, it is very difficult. It is extremely difficult. To live in a world that is a lie is difficult because even if you see the truth, the world sees, believes, and teaches and obligates you to live in a lie. It obligates you to live the lie. It obligates you to everything in a global earth, everything based on their lie. We cannot separate ourselves and go to a land where science and NASA does not exist. We can't. Absolutely you can't. Because no such land exists. It doesn't exist. What exists is a world in which we are sick and tired of living the lie, and Yahweh is the one that causes that lie. For that reason, very reason, some people have left here because they didn't like the way I applied that text that I'm reading. Where is the Elohim of justice? Once you know that the one that produces this injustice is the Creator himself, then you start to go up against the Creator with the only one that has the capacity and the power of changing this. There's no other person that can change it. There's no such Messiah. There's no such group of people. There's no such brain that can change this without the power and help of his, because the power and his help was given to lies. Exactly. He gave power of the world to rule the lies. So then to fight against the system is to fight against Elohim himself. And I know that, and you know that. So then when we go up again, we fight against the system, we are fighting against the problem. The power that gave the power to the system. Never think that you're doing a service to God because you fought against the system. No, because God is the system. And if you don't understand that part, then you cannot be part of the eternal truth, even if every day there are less people here, because the people don't want to listen to the truth. And that is the truth. Scripture says that He is the one that gave power unto the world, and it clearly says it. Well, it says it in the entire Scriptures. But this here is so clear to see. Revelation chapter 13, which says, for example, I stood upon the seashore and I saw a beast come up, a power, that has had 7 heads and 7 horns. Who made her come up from the sea? Yahweh did, of course. And in his horns 10 crowns, and a blasphemous name upon their heads, and the beast, which is almost like a leopard, the bear characteristics of Rome and of the first beast, and that everything conjoins in Israel. Babylon, Rome, the Medes and the Persians in Greece. Those characteristics are all there. And upon their heads a blasphemous name, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were like a bear, and his mouth like a lion, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat. Who is the dragon? It is very clear that the dragon is no Satan. He's no fallen angel. It is Yahweh himself. It is the ancient serpent. The ancient serpent, which I say, where is the Elohim of justice, is this person, the dragon. He gave him his power, his throne, and great authority. I saw one of its heads as if it had been wounded of death, and it had been healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? Who can fight against her? No one. No one. We can't even fight against her. We can't. We live with her. We live dominated by her. Barely even do we do a great effort just to not do everything that she imposes on us, but the rest, we live dominated by her. And he continues to speak. Number 7, and they allowed it. Who allowed? Who the fuck allowed it? It's easy because it's in the parable, and it was allowed. Who? I allowed it? No, I didn't allow. Who? The government of the U.S. allowed it? Who are they allowing something at that level? Who the fuck allowed? Here it says, and God allowed them to war against the saints and defeat them. Oh, an applause, an applause, an applause. Good going there. How the fuck can we fight a power that the same creator gave them power to defeat us in all the aspects that there's ever been? So then I want all you to be conscious, and during this Bikkurim, that we are in a fight practically that is useless unless Yahweh someday finds it worthy to stop being unjust. So I tell Yahweh, you know what, this Pesach, I celebrated your triumph, but your power, you gave it to my enemy. And it's got me submitted, and I can't even fight against them because that would be to fight against you. Because that beast is you. And it was allowed to war against the saints and defeat them. And also, it was given great authority over all tribes and nations. Who gave them that great authority? Who gave it to them? Who? Christians, if you're listening to me, since you think that you're Satan, that you're so afraid to, whom you're so afraid of has authority of something, but that is part of your lie, that you believe that I don't even know why the fuck I speak to you. Because there comes a point that you say, what? It's wasting time. My saliva, my thought, and people that haven't the least idea of what's going on or what's going on in their surroundings. And it says it was given who? I'll read it to you. God, the Creator, Yahweh Sabaoth, also gave him authority upon whom? Upon all tribes, all peoples, all kindreds, tongues, and nations. Fight with that. Try to fight with that. He gave him power. The only one that can take it out from him is himself. That's why we live in a world of injustice, because God does injustice. So then it is required for a group of people to raise up and say, I'm already sick and tired of your injustice. I am sick and tired of your injustice. Because to give power to someone unjust and to teach him how to exercise power, it's to be unjust. That is what it means to be unjust. So everything comes from Elohim. There comes a point that you get sick and tired. At least I'm sick and tired. That's why I demand from Yahweh, stop doing injustice. That's why in this that I'm reading, that I'm about to read it once again, you have to comprehend it better. Under no circumstances don't ever think that Yahweh is doing some sort of justice in the world. There isn't. There isn't. He does all the injustice that there's ever been, every single one. Why? Either it's directly or indirectly because he does it through the people, through Babylon. Through Babylon. The cup that the whole world drank, which is the cup of wine 2019, it was designed, it was invented, it was brought about by Yahweh. There's no other explanation. No, it's not that there's no other explanation. Jeremiah 25 says it. Give this cup to drink. And if they don't want to drink, make them. They have to drink it because Yahweh says, you will drink it. So then who is a human like me that has no power except to speak a little bit and to have the certain frequency that I have and for me to understand can add themselves to this? No one else. No one else. Just very few that say, stop Yahweh from doing injustice. It's enough. I'm sick and tired. He's not a just God. When I live, since I was born in injustice, there isn't. While you think that God is a righteous God, then this will not be fulfilled. It will not be fulfilled. Because the very unjust God has to undo that and give power to the Son of Man. And to say, now, since I gave it to the dragon, since I gave it to Babylon, now I'll give it to you. Do whatever you want. And, well, that is where the Son of Man will do whatever the fuck he wants. Just like you hear me, whatever he wants. Because he's also not a servant of God that says, well, now I want you to do this, and this is what you got to do. No. You gave me this house and this field. You give me this property. You give me this city, then it's mine. I'll do what I want. And yes, I'll do what I want. Why? Because you have been guiding it for 6,000 years, and we're so sick and tired of how you gave things out and spread them out. Now you have promised to give it to someone, and that someone will rule it forever and ever. And it was allowed, and it was given. In other words, Yahweh Sabaoth
Y se le permitió, o sea, Yahweh Sebaot le permitió hacer guerra contra los santos y vencerlos. También se le dio grande autoridad.
Allowed them to war against the saints and overcame them, and great authority gave it to Yahweh Sabaoth, gave him great authority over all tribes, tongues, kindreds, and nations, and it was worshipped by all the dwellers of the land, whose name were not written in the book of life of the Lamb, in the book of life of the Lamb. How there's a book of life of the Lamb, which are the only ones that do not worship the dragon. That little group, which is designed from the very beginning, does not worship the beast. Many people have asked, and with this I'll answer, to do the subject of predestination again and to know how free will works, which is very interesting, where everything that Paul says and all the rest. But with this that I'm reading, it says that the Lamb has a book from the foundation of the world, since before the foundation of the world, which was not going to worship, which was not going to fall. Worship is to accept. To accept, just accept. It is not worship, mind you. I've already told you that it's promuskel, the word, which is the very action of a dog that licks the hand of a master. The dog does not worship his master, but he licks his tongue to be fed. He licks his hand to be fed by him. So then everyone licks the hand of Babylon, which is the act of a dog who places itself at a very lower level than the owner and licks the hand of Babylon, the whole world except for a group, which that group was designed by the Creator so that they see what I'm saying now and to say it. And to rebel against that and to say, no, we will not even going to lick his hand, the hand of Babylon or Yahweh. No one. It's difficult. Because if you want to lick the hand of God, you have to lick Babylon's hand first. And it's difficult because all those who worship God, who do not understand this, they worship the dragon, that figure of God placed in Babylon. They worship them. That's why it says, and they worship them all, those who dwell upon the earth, except for those who were written in the book of the Lamb. In this version, it is miswritten because they said, placed it in an inadequate order. I'll read it to you in the Spanish DHH, which I believe is better, which it says as follows, Revelation 13. I am reading Revelation 13, 8. In the Spanish DHH, it says, and that monster will be worshipped. That monster is Babylon, which is an extension of Yahweh. That monster will be worshipped. In other words, they're going to lick its hand to be fed, and they will accept everything. All the inhabitants of the earth whose names are not written from the creation of the world in the book of life of the Lamb. So then, the Lamb has a book of life. That book of life was written from the very beginning or before the creation of the world. The only ones that were not going to fall into that group were those that were written since before. So then, those who think that predestination does not exist to be a part of the Son of Man, then you have not understood the book that has already been read. The Bible is very clear about the predestination of the Messiah. There was not a king by chance. No, because, let's see, whom to choose as kings? No. All the kings of Israel that were born, who were kings, they were born. Already Elohim chooses them to be kings. It's not that it says, let's vote. There was no voting here. There's never voting. And those that wanted to place themselves as God, Yahweh eliminated them and said, no, this is my God. This is my king, and then this is my king. Always, it was a predestination of Yahweh. Every Messiah. Like, for example, no one could be a priest or Kohen just because they felt the calling to do so. One of the tribe of, the tribe of whose? Of Benjamin, and says, I want to be a priest and serve in the temple. Just imagine. They would have said, where were you born? The tribe of Benjamin. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're never going to enter there. In the interesting part of the temple, and you'll never serve as a Kohen. Never, because the priests are only from a certain tribe. The tribe of Levi. Nothing else. Just like that, nothing else. And that's it, it's over, nothing else. So then there's a predestination or not? Absolute predestination. Not for salvation, because they're all predestined for salvation. That's from the get-go, but for the part of being the Messiah. Which one? To serve, they're all of them. To serve? To serve. In what sense? Oh, there's a predestination to serve as a priest and to be a part of the Messiah. The predestination is so marked that it had to be now, in the last part of the world. If it was before, everything would be lost, so then they had to be born. The Messiah is absolutely predestined. But not just this text says that. In Revelation 17, also, I'll read it to you. Revelation 17, 8. I'll read in the Spanish DHH. The monster that you saw is one that lived before, but no longer exists. Yet, it'll ascend from the abyss before going to its final destruction. And the inhabitants of the earth, whose names are not written in the book of life from the creation of the world. I'll read this a little slower because maybe your mind is not able to grasp on my words or the words written here. They're not my words. That monster that lived before and no longer exists and exists again, it's Israel. Of course, Israel existed in Jerusalem, precisely the city. They no longer existed because they were kicked out and they were destroyed Jerusalem, the temple, and they were kicked out. The Jews were. And more than 600 years passed. And the Muslims occupied it and this and that. And almost 2,000 years passed. And the monster is reborn again like a plant that was killed and almost for 2,000 years it was dead. And you say it's dead. And all of a sudden it bursts a little leaf and now it has one generation to live. It's Revelation 17, my most preferred prophecy that will always be, because this is how I started, and that is what motivated me to speak, Revelation 17. So then that monster, Israel, that you saw, is one that lived before but no longer exists in the time that's precisely not John was living, but later on is what this would happen. Yet it'll come up from the bottomless pit, from the very dead, from the grave of what you consider to be dead, before going to its total destruction. Interesting. The inhabitants of the earth, whose names are not written in the book of life from the creation of the world. Second witness that says the same thing. The inhabitants of the earth whose names are not written in the book of life since the creation of the world, they will be in awe when they see that monster which lived before and no longer exists, but which will once again live. This is where they will see who has wisdom and understanding. This is where it'll be seen. Here, precisely here, is when this requires wisdom and understanding is fulfilled. Absolutely impressive. So then the Messiah is the only one that comprehends this text. What text? Ye have we read Yahweh with your words, and ye say, in what have we read him? In that ye say that whomever doth evil pleaseth Yahweh. But of course, he gives him power to those that do evil to do more evil, and in such he delighteth. Or else, where is the Elohim of justice? Where is the Elohim of justice? You think that it is funny to have been born in the Gaza Strip and to have lived many years, whether they may be 10, 15, 20, 40, and that they come and bombard you where you live, your business, your house, for them to kill your children, for you to have to go out wounded or dead, and that you have to go to unknown lands, to the desert or wherever, because another one thought so. Maybe the situation doesn't matter. You think that is just, even if those people are unjust, even if they are wild asses and everything that we know. You think that those people don't suffer? Do you think the Ukrainians don't suffer? The Russians don't suffer? All the people don't suffer? If I'm complaining that we suffer the emotional conflicts that we cannot change, just imagine if we were in a worse situation. So then there comes a point that says, hey, stop. Yahweh has to stop giving power to the beast. I want for everyone today to understand in Bikkurim that if the beast rules, it is because Yahweh wants it so, and because he is responsible exclusively. Also, when he told Pilate says, don't you see that I have over you the power of life and death? And what did Yeshua answer, who was Yahweh? You don't you see that if you rule is because God placed you, in other words, me. He didn't say it like that because he wouldn't understand. If you're judging me, it's because I placed you there, you idiot. I placed you there. You're such an idiot.
Yo
I
meto esta situación.
put all these situations together. We hate, not us, the Christians. When I was a Christian, there were people that still comment, this doesn't seem to be Christian. No, this is not Christian. Absolutely, it's not Christian under the denomination of what Christianity is or what Christianity means. I was taught that it was not Ananias, but Cephas and Annas. Sometimes we make Ananias and Cephas, the high priest and the other one, of the time of Yeshua, we see them as if they were bad people. So it's just, maybe they were very good people. Absolutely good people. Better even than the disciples. In fact, Yeshua says if you don't have the justice that they have, you will not enter anywhere. You have to have even more justice. But sometimes we see them as if we see in the movies like evil, thinking we have to kill them. You don't know why all this happened, because they followed the religion and they lived it. They were not bad people. No, they didn't hate Yeshua just because they hated him. They hated him because it did not concord with the established religion, established by Yahweh, that is. Yahweh established a religion that said, I am the only one and there's no one else outside of me, and the only son that I have and that I call him that way is Israel. A person came and said that he is the son of Yahweh, who is, before Abraham was, I am, because I'm the son of Yahweh. Of course, even I want to stone him. Because if a guy were to come now from heaven and says, I am the son of Yahweh, it's already happened many times. I'll tell to many people have written to me, and I say many because it's more than one, saying, you're wrong about the son of Yahweh, that the son of Elohim, that you think it's you. They say, I tell you, they have written me, I tell you it is me, because God has revealed it to me, and I am the son, and you can work for me. What do? I delete them. I block them. Why? Because they're completely outside of the truth and what my religion teaches. My religion teaches that there's only one God. If I were in that time of Israel, with whatever it is now, okay, careful now, with what I know now, with my mind now, of at least knowing what the Torah says and what the Tanakh says, that there's only one God. So then I run into Jesus teaching in some mountain, and I would have to face him and say, hey, you, whoever you are, you cannot be the Son of God. Who are you? You're not the Son of God. Because it says that he came from heaven. There's no one that can come from heaven. God does not have a son. And I would grab a Tanakh. If I were to speak Hebrew, let's suppose, and I would say, here, it perfectly says that there's only one God, no one else. It doesn't have a son. Where did you get that he had a son? Don't you see that you're going to create a religion of worship unto the Father, Son, and they could add a third one, the Holy Spirit? What do you think that Yeshua would have told me? What do you think he would have told me? He would not have left that situation for me to face him, but he would have told me, I am Yahweh. You have said it. I am Yahweh. You understood it. You understood it. Now leave. Because I'm training these guys which are differently. I have to train them differently. And if he would say, no, I am the Son of God, then I would grab a stone and stone him. Because that is what the Torah teaches me. It says that if someone says or causes others to worship other gods, we have to stone him. It is a command of the Torah. Don't think that the Jews, because they were cursed sons of bitches, that they were evil and they didn't want the true light. That's a lie. That's a lie. The light came to them. What light? What light came to them? What came was a light, which was a lie. Oh, now I'm in really big trouble. That lie that it says the light came, what light came? What light came? A light that was lying. Why do I say this? Because when you say, I am the Son of God, It was not a true light anymore. When you say, because in such God so loved the world and he sent his son, maybe he pointed towards himself, his only begotten son, so that all who believeth in him shall not be lost, but have eternal life. It was enough to stone him right there, because that is not light. That is not light. That was going against religion that he himself established. I want you to understand that clearly. So then, a world of lies always was the world filled with lies. And Yeshua came and he continued in a parable that was a lie. Because now I see it and I say, well, if I know the truth, so then it's not a lie. But if I, for many years, I think since I am little, that Santa Claus comes to my house and gives me gifts. And my dad tells me Santa Claus came and placed your little sock right there and leave some cookies, a little bit of grass, for the camels. And when I wake up, it's no longer there and I believe it sincerely. Oh yeah, he likes milks and cookie, right? Milks and cookie. If I believe it, the day that I noticed, I cannot say, oh, it was a parable. No, it was a lie. It was a lie that I lived. Not my case. But I'm referring to the world. It was a lie so great that when you say, well, what a son of a bitch, how they deceived me. Well, the same thing did Yahweh when he came to earth. Yahweh does not have a son at all. There was no Father in heaven along with his son, and he told him, son, go to earth to save humanity. That does not exist. As also does not exist an angel being the third in power who rebelled himself because he wanted to be like the first. That does not exist. But that is what is in the mind of every human being, and I see him, and I live amongst them, and I have to speak with them. And there comes a point that my mind says, hey, cut it off. It's so ugly to live in a system like this, invented by the Creator, invented by the Creator, because of course if there's some Christian here, could he argue with me every day and every month and say, no, but here it says he was a ventriloquist. A ventriloquist. He was ventriloquist. He says, my Father that is in heaven and I were two witnesses. It cannot be what you're saying. And I said, exactly. The same thing as Santa Claus. It's exactly the same thing as Santa Claus. It cannot be until you open your eyes and you say, wow, how you lie to me like that? How do you lie to me like that? And all of a sudden, it said, yeah, whomever had seen me had seen the Father. But of course, the Christians say, it is so like him. It's his essence. They're identical. No, none of that. He was the Father. He was the Father. And when he said, ye shall not see me anymore, ye shall not see me again, he says, ye shall not see me ever in life, ever again. Ever. Just like that. Ever again. Because I go into the Father. No, he's saying because I will go back to being Yahweh. I will no longer be the role that I played here. I came and played it and left. It's still alive. So then Yeshua cannot say, I am the light. I am the true light that shines upon all men. Do you know why he said that, Yeshua? Do you know why he said that? Why Yeshua said that? Does someone know why he said that? I'll explain to you why he said that. You should, every one of you know it. You should raise your hand and tell me why he said that. Why did he say that? John is saying, there was a man sent by God whose name was John the Baptizer, not the one that wrote. He came for testimony, that he gave testimony of light, so that all would believe due to him. He was not the light, but so that he would give testimony of the light. That true light that shines all men. How many men does it shine? That true light, it says. Did that true light shine the Indians of America? Did that true light shine upon all the tribes of Africa? Did that true light shine that says all men, all the Chinese, all the Orientals? No one. It shined a little bit in Israel, and then in Europe a little bit, and then what they brought here. That little bit of light, that is very distorted. So then, that true light that shines all men came unto this world. Was he the true light? No, he was not. No, he was not. It was not. What was he? He was Yahweh. It was Yahweh. It was not the true light. But by becoming the figure of the Messiah, this is written because the only one that can understand this is the Messiah. Because everything that he did except for dying, because he has to die as Yahweh, the Messiah has to do it, and everyone that does not accept that Jesus was the Messiah, actually, everything that Yahweh did was a great parable and projection, prophetically speaking, of the Messiah, the true Messiah, the Son of Man, the wife of Yahweh, the sons of Eloheinu, however you want to call them, the Messiah. He is the true light. And he will shine upon all men, not some. He will shine upon all the men of these 6,000 years, all men from Adam and Eve to the very last one that has ever been born in this world, that has ever lived during these 6,000 years. And that is where it'll be fulfilled, where it says, but it was not that Jesus of 2,000 years ago, the true light. Because the Chinese continue on without any light, and the Chinese that lived 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years ago, with what light did they lie? With none. So then this can never be fulfilled. That true light that shines upon all men. And that it shines, not that it shines upon all men, it's not that it will shine, some. It shines. It is present because the Messiah will shine and be the light, not God. The Messiah will be the light of all men that has lived on this earth. And when I refer to man, I refer to women also. The gender, the human gender. It will shine upon all men because they have never been shined with any lights. The truth is that God has never shined upon anything. Adam and Eve, he's shone upon them with a serpent. Now the rest, he has not shone upon anyone ever. Every man has never known where the fuck they were standing. They never knew the truth, nor Moses. They promised Moses, God promised them to enter into the glorious land. They didn't enter, they killed them before. Those are the promises of God. He was taking this people, and this is, no. You're not gonna, but I'm okay, nothing, no, you're gonna die here. Why? Because you have another one has to enter, Yeshua. The law does not enter, Yeshua has to enter. So then, light never existed in this world, ever. God never brought light into this earth, never, ever. The light is covered. In Scripture, the light is to learn where it is found, but it is covered, and that is why the people cannot see, cannot understand it. But the Messiah will be the path, the truth, and the life. No one will get to God who has never shone upon anyone if it's not through the Messiah, and the Messiah will shine upon all men. That is the work of the Messiah. Do you think that the Jews don't understand this? Of course they understand it. The whole world is waiting for the Messiah. Due to different motives and different prophecies in a different way. But that true light that shines upon all men, will be fulfilled barely when the era of the Messiah shall come. And that Messiah is written, the group that will form that from the beginning of the world. That's why the world is his. It's not, is that he won it because he says, I'm going to be this. No, there is a predestination. Like, that's why the throne was won by David when he was a shepherd of sheep and it had nothing to do with royalty. God came and said, now you're the king. And the most important one, and that's where I'll always mention, like a messianic figure, the throne of David. But was David from a royal family? No, he was even mixed with an Ammonite. I think it was his grandmother or great grandmother. So then it is predestined, the Messiah is, not because we want it, or because we don't want it, or because we hear or we don't hear. The Messiah is determined who it'll be. Before Cyrus were born, 150 years before, Yahweh prophesied, I will have a Christ or a Mashiach, and I will name him Cyrus, and he will conquer Babylon. That's it. That's it. Cyrus. Did he do something to be a Messiah? No. He lived his entire life as a function of being a Messiah. That is clear. Why? Because it's not that it's just that your name is written there. No. In the function that your name is written there, you shall live a life that has to do with your function that you will fulfill as a protagonist in this movie, which is so. Absolutely, it is so. For that very reason, we are the only ones that understand this text of Malachi 2:17. Where is the Elohim of justice? And yes, the truth is that we do have to ask of Yahweh, all those who understand this, because if you don't understand this, there's no need for you to ask. You leave a negative comment and a thumbs down. You'll never hear again because you think it's something crazy, and I find that to be correct, and that's fine because your ear is not to listen to this. Your ear is there to listen to other things. It doesn't belong to a special place. But the rest that understands this, they have to demand from Elohim, like I demand every day, where is the Elohim of justice? I'm already sick and tired of your injustice. It is not the injustice of Babylon, it is the injustice of Yahweh. Because he is the one in charge, the one that gave him power, that incited her and makes her do things. It is him. It is him. When he takes away that power and gives it to his son that says, well, you can publish the decree, I have begotten thee today. You can publish it. When he does that, then there is a transference of power. There's a transference of power from Babylon, who is left unprotected without the protection of Yahweh, and it is turned over to the Mashiach, but that will happen whenever he wants. This happened in the year 2032? Yes, it could be. But the 80 years are not going to pass. Yahweh was going to say whatever, because I was even thinking of this week, what if in Psalms 90:10 he says, the days of man are 70 years, and through tribulations and all the rest, some get to 80, and then we fly. It says, what if we read it, not as an exact number, but as we read it. You have the 70, and it's in the 70 or in the 50 or in the 40 or in the 30. It doesn't mean 30 exactly. So then if the age of man is 70, it means, well, it is around 70. It could be 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 78, 78, and 79. And there, suppose he died, yeah, he lived to 70. Do you understand what I'm saying? What if that is what the text is trying to say? This week I was thinking, what if that is what the text is trying to say? And well, I'll grab another what if that's what the text is trying to say? In the 80s, it could be the 81, it could be the 82, 83, 84, and that is how we get to 2032. Within 8 years, perfectly well. Could that happen? Well, of course it could. If he says, look, if you can do math, 6,000 years, 6,000 years, I didn't say that it was 6,000 years, that's it. It's 6,000 years. And now we'll stay another 8 years, torturously so, putting up with all this stupidity entirely. And oh well, what are we going to do? But we could do something, protest, like a woman would with her husband. The only way that sometimes we make him see something is with a protest, because if we accept all the stupidity of the husband, then the guy is not going to achieve, or the lady or the wife is not going to achieve certain things that they want unless she protests every day. And maybe that technique was taught to us by Yahweh. And he says, look, if a lady asks the king to do justice for her and the king is evil, how is the king? Well, who represents that king? I'm not saying it. He says it. He says it. I'm not saying it. He says it. Says, look, I want you to pray like this. With this, there was a bad king who came. He could have said a good king, a bad king. And a lady came and would ask him to do justice, and the guy wouldn't do justice for her. But since she would insist so much, the guy got sick and tired, not because of doing justice for her. He says, no, I don't want this lady coming here anymore. I don't want to ever see this lady here. Where is that text? I want to read it. When you tell me where it is, Leslie, I'll read it. In the Spanish DHH. I don't want this lady to show up anymore. That is what we have to achieve with Yahweh. As a bride with that title, to protest. To protest. For example, if a husband does not want to buy a washing machine for, let's look it up. Not a dishwasher, no. If the wife wants a washing machine, and a dryer, she's sick and tired of washing by hand. And she's sick and tired of hanging even if they say it's good for the clothes to be good in the sun. She's sick and tired of hanging things. So can you buy me one? No. What's it? $1,500? No. It'd have to be crazy. But if she insists every day, and everything she washes, she insults, and she starts to make food awful because you don't love, because you don't buy them, because you want to keep things for something else. There comes a point that he says the guy gets so sick of it, either he kills her or leaves her, or he buys that thing for her. There's no turn of the page. What do I have to read? Luke what? Luke 18. Okay, let's see. Luke 18 reads as follows. Yeshua told them a parable to teach them that they should have prayed always without being distraught. He told them there was in a pity that a man that didn't fear God or regarded man. He was evil. That was Yahweh right there. What God is Yahweh going to fear? No one. And to respect man even less. In that very city, there was a lady that went and said, avenge me of mine adversary. Precisely that widow is us. We have been widowed. And the judge is not just, and we have an adversary who is Babylon, and he would not for a while. Elohim never wants to listen to us. But afterwards he said within himself, though I fear not God, nor regard man, yet because this widow troubleth me, I will avenge her, lest by her continual coming she weary me. That's exactly what we have to do. To break his divine balls and say, how unjust I am, sick and tired of your lies about the globe. Who made that up? You made that up. You gave them rules so that give or take they would work, so that they all see it in the eclipses, and they see round and a ball everywhere. You gave them that. That's why it works give or take, and they can live, and it's not so ridiculous because it has its science. Heliocentrism it has its science. It's just that it fails everywhere. But either way, who gave it to him? You gave it to him. I am sick and tired of your lies, of your darkness. We want light. We want the Messiah to bring light, the true light to brought by the Messiah. We have to break the divine balls, all of us, every day, to Yahweh, every day. He taught us this, and he told us, look, Yahweh doesn't fear any God, but of course he has no God above him. Why do you think that he all of a sudden brought a parable like that? He would have said there was a judge that was very busy. Could he have said that or not? He said a judge that feared no God, because what God does Yahweh fear? No one. The Christians think that he fears Satan a bit. He doesn't fear anyone. And men, how does he treat them? Like it's here. But he's telling to you in your face, he has no respect for men. Of course, that is why they die. They suffer like rats. Pain, violations. He cared less about anything. Nothing. But there was a widow who would not stop bugging him. That is the secret. Do not stop bugging him. Where's the Elohim of justice? Where is the Elohim of justice? I loved our celebration of Pesach. That is why we recorded it, to share it with you, so that you can see that it's simple. Our celebration is short and simple, to the point. We enjoy what we read. We enjoy that we are drinking the blood of the serpent. The blood of the serpent is what we're drinking. But also, we want for him to transfer power already. He has to transfer power from Babylon to the Messiah. That is why we share it. And if one of you did not see it, I've just uploaded a video that is called The Celebration of Pesach 2024. How we celebrated. We didn't record the washing of the feet. We also didn't add the pictures, but well, you can see the pictures on Facebook. But the video, did some of you watch the video here? No one? You can see the video pretty good, huh? Right? I loved it. So then it's just so that you see how we celebrate it, and so that it's also a sample of how simple it is. But always remember that you have to demand, like a wife that is completely dissatisfied with her husband. Where is the Elohim of justice? Very well. The text of the invitation: pay attention to my corrections, and I will fill you with my spirit. I shall make it be known unto you my thoughts. Well, it is very, very clear, this text, I love this text. It speaks of wisdom, but I also apply it, that the only way of understanding what I think is that you listen to me and you understand with what clarity I see the scripture, and that you can see it with the same clarity. Because from the moment in which you start to see that it is Yahweh, the one that is behind Babylon, then actually the mask falls of Christianity, of the God of justice. Let's pray into the God. No. Where is the Elohim of justice? We know that God that exists is being unjust. Every unjust thing that is done in this world, it is his fault, because he could do justice. I ask yourselves, could God do justice in this world? Yes or no? If he wanted to. Could he or could he not? And you think that he does so? It is clear that he doesn't. The Bible itself asks, where is the Elohim of justice? The only one that will do justice and will bring justice, everlasting justice, that is the Messiah. The only one is the Messiah. That is why we have to cry out for Yahweh to transfer the power that gives up until now to Babylon and to give it to the Messiah. If he doesn't do that, there is nothing that we can do. Nothing, just like that. Nothing, absolutely nothing, except to cry out. To cry out and to cry out every day. Let's see if there are likes today. Let us see how we're doing with 237 likes and 253 watching. Wow, we're even less. It's more than 300 people watching last time, less. And today there's going to be, with what I said, it's going to be even less. It's not my fault. I can speak to you like bouillon if you want. Mixed of gambetta, bouillon, and the other guy to have views. No, if I were to speak to you very well, like a Christian pastor, but that is what is far away from me, and I would never do that. What do you want me to say? Let's see if those likes, for those likes to go up. If there is someone in a protest today, if somebody has their heart in protest of living on this earth, leave more likes to leave in the comments. I am in a protest against Yahweh. That is what I want you to write. Because he reads all the comments. I read them. So he has to read them also. All the comments. I protest against the injustice of Yahweh because of giving the power to Babylon and not taking it away. Precisely. I want you to write it. Because sometimes if you write it, you understand. I know that you listen to me and then you say, then you pray and you say, oh God, forgive me because I'm so evil. Let's see if you can bring me, or you do this and do that. Don't ask anything from God. Let's see if I see it again. Say it again. Don't ask God for anything when He is in favor of Babylon. What is there to ask from Yahweh? To stop being unjust. That is what will hurt, to stop being unjust and for him to take his power away from Babylon. That is what we all have to say. So then don't ask him, oh, please protect me. Don't be an idiot. Don't be a fucking idiot. You go out to drive, and of course, if you're afraid, you say, oh, thanks for protecting me and your protection for the trip today, for this plane not to fall. Don't you see that it's kind of like asking the devil himself when you were a Christian to protect you? If he is against us up until today, if I have what I have and my nose is clogged, I blame him because I would want to take that out, whatever it is. If my hair falls off, it's his fault. If we are blind, his fault. It is his fault. If you don't know how to speak, it is his fault. If you know how to speak, it's also his fault. It's all his fault. But the Torah says so. Let's read it. Let's read it. Let's read it. Let's go to Exodus. Exodus chapter 4 to see whose fault it is of the blind and the mute. Whose fault is it? Whose fault is it, do you think? Right now you said it because I say it. Do you have any proof? Do you have any proof? You see, when they found the blind man and they said, who said, this guy or his parents, because he's blind from birth? You remember? You see that if he had sinned or the parents, actually Yahweh left them blind. Why? Because of a punishment. If it's the sin of the parents, it is Yahweh's fault either way. What did Yeshua say? No. Actually, Yahweh did this to glorify. I mean, it has nothing to do with guilt. It's just, it was my pleasure to make him blind. Just for me to give his eyesight back right now. What the fuck? Exodus 4. Exodus 4, what does it say in the sacred Torah? What does the sacred Torah say? It says this. It says, number 11, let's go to 11. Yahweh answered unto Moses, who hath made man's mouth, or who maketh the dumb or deaf, or the seeing, or the blind? Have not I, Yahweh? What? Who made the dumb? I, Yahweh, he said. Who made the deaf? I, Yahweh. Who made the idiots? I, Yahweh. Who made you? I, Yahweh. And who made the evil one? I, Yahweh. In other words, did he do anything so that, is there something in this world that he didn't do? No, he does everything. But I'm reading it to you. I'm reading it to you from your own Bible. It's not that I invented it. The dumb are dumb because of Yahweh. If you think that I'm saying rubbish, you dog shit Christian, read your fucking Bible because you piss me off. Because then you write to me saying, you have no respect for God. No, you have no respect for the Bible. The Bible says, who gave the mouth to the man or made him dumb? Or deaf, who made him deaf? And the one that sees, who made him with the capacity to see? And the blind, who made him blind? Is it not I, Yahweh? Is it not I, Yahweh? I do everything evil, good and evil, and I mean that's what they don't even accept it. Many of you, and even less the Christians. Yahweh cannot do evil. Yahweh cannot do evil. No, Yahweh does not stop doing evil, which is actually the truth. Exodus 4:11. I'll read it in the Spanish DHH. You see what it says? Exodus 4:11 says, but the Lord, in other words, Yahweh answered, and who gave man his mouth? Who else, if not me, makes him mute, deaf, blind, or for him not to be able to see? Who, if not me? Is that text clear or not? Let me ask you, who made man stupid? The stupid idiots. He made him like that. And who made him blind? Who made him blind? And when I say blind, it is the blindness, aside from not seeing, it's the spiritual blindness. Did he not say to Isaiah, I will make them blind so that seeing they do not see? I'll make them deaf so that hearing they hear not, and I'll thicken their heart that they do not understand. I'll make them stupid idiots. And then Yeshua says, no, I speak to them, taking that. I speak to them in parables because I don't want them to understand. Because seeing, I want them to see, and hearing me, for them not to understand. And so that if this gets to their heart to not understand it, and why not, Lord, do you do these things? Why? If you're light. If you're the light, I'm not the light, you idiot. I'm not the light. Don't be a fucking idiot. All the idiots that think I'm the light, I'm pretty dim light. Why do I do that? Because I don't want to shine upon them. It's very clear. How is it? What do you mean? Peter says. I don't understand. How is it you don't want to shine upon them? No, I want to deceive them. Through what? Through parables. Because I do not want for them to understand the truth and to convert and for me to have to save them. What? It's in your Bibles, in almost all the Gospels. It says, I. So then that is incompatible with, oh, I'm the true light that shines upon all men. No. That is what the Messiah will be. Yahweh said, I am the light, parabolic light, that dark light that deceives the whole world. That is Yahweh. That Jesus that came said, I am darkness. Because I came to deceive. What? That is what I came to do, to deceive. So then in the light, where does the light come? That is what the Messiah will be. The Messiah will bring the light. I bring darkness. Just like that, I bring darkness. And the blind, why are they blind? Because I made them that way. And the blind, why are they blind? Because I made them. And the rapist, why are they rapists? Oh, that's even stronger. Well, because I made them that way. Yeah, I made them that way. That's the way it is. I'm sorry, I made them that way. And those that are raped, well, I'm responsible. Yeah, because as a child, I was there. I didn't take care of them. I didn't protect them. I didn't shield them. I could have done something to the rapist, the uncle. I could have given him a heart attack. It was it's so easy. It doesn't cost me anything for him to not be able to make his dick stand up. I mean, I needed him to be raped, or for these children to suffer and to have an entire life filled with complexes and all kinds of issues. And oh, well, that's the way I am. Oh, no, absolutely not. No, God. He is to blame of everything. Not because I say so. He says so himself. That text that I taught you today, about Exodus, read it. 1,000 times over what he tells Moses. And don't come at me telling me, oh no, because I was written after. No, 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 no. This is an entire Torah. I am the one that does evil, period. There is no evil that cometh unto a city that I have not made it. Yahweh says, no such thing exists. But I thought that it was the devil. And the whole army of demons. No, you fucking idiot. It doesn't exist. I'm the devil. I'm the army of demons. I'm everything. Absolutely everything. Nothing happens here. And no one does any evil or wickedness if not behind it. Because I am the dragon. I'm the ancient serpent. I'm the first deceiver. And the people of Israel, the one that wrote the Torah. Yeshua looked at him and says, but you are sons of your father, the devil. Who was the father of Israel? Yahweh. It is more than clear. I mean, it's so clear. So clear. It says, and with that spirit, we have to celebrate Bikkurim, and that is the correct spirit. It is the spirit of the man saying, hey, the first fruits when? Let's see the first fruits for when. Very well. How much have I spoken? How much have I spoken today? Okay, let me see. I've been speaking. Let's see. I've been speaking to an hour 34. Very well. Today we're going to eat a spectacular stew, an asado. It'll be ribs, chicken chorizo, and matzah and salad. Matzot or unleavened bread and salad. That is what we'll eat today. So then I'll leave you here very soon because we're going to go into that. Do not forget, and I'll ask you once again, because your brain, or else it doesn't work. Consciously, and it still doesn't grasp it. I want you to write that we want justice. Where is the Elohim of justice? We want for Yahweh to stop giving power to Babylon and to give it to the Messiah. Not come and say, and to give it to us. No, don't say that. There's no need to say that. Just say, to give it to the Messiah. To give it to the Messiah. We want, just like the Jews say, like what was said by Lavavitch. I don't know if it's Lavavitch or Lubavitch, however you want to say it, but Lubavitch said, we want Mashiach now. We want Mashiach now. The Mashiach is coming this year. The Mashiach cometh this year. He's coming this year. That is what is saying. And they would sing. They would all sing that Lavavitch. He would love that. And evidently he was not the Messiah, nor could he ever be so, that son of a bitch. Maybe I'm getting too far with my words. But he could never be, ever be. But we who understand, we really do express the same thing. We want the Mashiach now, and the Mashiach cometh this year. But there is no Mashiach if there's no transference of power. Like there could never have been, like David could have never been king if they would not have anointed him to be so. So then there's no Mashiach if there's no transference of power. And could it be this year? I can assure you that yes. Clearly so, it could be this year. Absolutely, it could be this year. Will he do so this year? That I do not know. I am inclined to think that he will hang us, within 8 years. You leave us hanging until 8 years. I don't know. I don't know. That's what we have to protest. I want you to really protest, not to think it, to write it. To write it. So that Elohim can read the comments once and once again. And they'll be left written. Maybe the Christians are going to get so furious when they read it. But make sense in your comments. Don't say God is an unjust. No, don't write that. That's not what I'm teaching. What I'm teaching is to ask Yahweh to get power over and to stop being unjust and to become just, which the Messiah will do so, not Yahweh, the Messiah will do so, but he needs that transference of power. So I want intelligent comments, please. Intelligent comments. I don't want one comment that says God is unjust. It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with the fact. We already know that. We want the protest of the widow unto the judge. That is what we want. That is what I want. Look, the widow wasn't protesting by saying that judge was unjust. No. She would come and ask him, do justice for me. Do justice. Do justice. And the judge did not fear God, nor did he respect men. Well, this Elohim does not fear any God, or neither does he respect men. I want that to be very clear. So then, questions. We have to go back to the questions. Very well. Going back to the questions, which I love. And here we launch the first one. And I hope you like today's subject. And I am not depressed at all. This is not a subject about how I feel. No, I felt the need to express. Let me put this straight, straighten this up. Oh, yes? Oh, no. But, oh, wow. Oh, it was not screwed in. Let me see. Let's screw it in better. Let's screw it in better. I'm seeing how it goes. It was kind of like leaning. Oh, because we need something else. But well. We'll fix it. I need a screwdriver. Okay. Oh no, forget it. Okay. Oh. Okay, it won't be today. It's gonna have to sit on the Torah. There it is. It's sitting. It says, how disrespectful sitting on the Bible. I'm saying, where is the Elohim of justice? Where is the Elohim of justice, Vera? First question. It says in the last video, it was said that all the money is of our partner. It was not the last one, but it kind of backed up a little bit. And ours, I agree. It is from our partner and ours. Wait a minute. What do you mean? It is of our partner and ourselves, right? Because if you say it is of our partnership and then of one, there's no need to say and of yourself. Oh yes. Okay. What I'm asking you to do, every one of you, is not that you write it in the live chat right now. It's no good. I don't even take that into account. You can write everything that you want, but that's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is that in the comments of the video, when this video ends, and you're able to comment, which you can't do so now, there, and not in the live chat, it's like nothing, just like that, nothing. I want you to understand that. You can chat there, and I'm not saying for you not to do it there. What I'm asking is that in the comments after the video ends, that is clear, right? Exactly. But I want you to interact because it is good for your brain. I can assure you that many of you still have stuck in your right here. I'm not saying that it is not most of it. I cannot judge, but I know because of what you write that many of you cannot really comprehend entirely the depth They're kind of like still in love with a Christian God. A Christian God, yes, a just God, exactly. They still do not comprehend even that all the fault, all everything, God is to blame for everything because He is what the Christians call the devil. That is why He has us subjugated. It says, "Come out of her, my people. Come out of my own claws, my people." And that everyone, we've already left Babylon as much as possible. No one can really escape Babylon altogether. What the fuck does it mean to leave Babylon? What the fuck? Oh, that to leave a little bit from Pharmakeia. Okay, that and all, we're still subjugated here. We are submerged here. We are to the nose here. Where the fuck are we going to leave? If He gave him the power. I want you to understand that and to understand it clearly. Not everyone understands it. In the last video, it was said that all the money is of our couple and of our own. No, it's of our couple. Okay. It already includes our own. I agree. Here, I have a consultative. I am in this street and I give money to the poor. Do I have to consult my partner? No, of course not. Use your common sense. And others, please use your common sense. Could it be applied here what Yeshua said about that let your left hand not do what your right hand does? No, absolutely not. And what Yeshua said that was not the light, it makes no sense except to understand it in the sense to not be proud of your good works. If you do something that's bullshit, I'm always gonna know to the day that I die what I did, if I die, or my eternal life. Because if I stop knowing whom I helped, then I wouldn't be myself, just like that. What would it be if I help and I don't know? You come here and no, I see whom I help, and I perfectly well remember if I helped you, I'll always remember. Just like if you help me, I'll also remember that. So then, for your left hand to not know what your right hand doth, that's bullshit. Just like that. It's better that we know what it does, because if we take it to a different extreme, and then of course, then we could say, then go with the neighbor, and since your other head doesn't know, then okay, we can separate the whole body, and then your actions do not know what your hand touches. No, absolutely not. Just like that, no. It's better that you know what your right hand does and what your left hand does perfectly well. What else? What happens when I use our money or the couple to give a gift to my own couple? Ha ha ha. There. I don't think that my wife should know because it's a surprise, but of course, use common sense. Just like that, use common sense, or what you would like, or what your couple would like, because if you don't have money to pay for the rent or for the basic needs, you go and buy a gift for her and you spend all the money, she's not going to enjoy it and she's not going to like it. She's going to get upset. So then use your common sense. You understand what I'm saying, right? Common sense. Common sense. There's certain money that there's no need. Oh, can I spend it this and this? No, of course not. Use your common sense. Okay, another question. Why is it that the symbol of the serpent very strong? Well, because the one that Yahweh chose, because it's a symbol for Himself. It is mentioned in the Bible, in Genesis, in the Garden of Eden, Moses raises the serpent in the desert, in Revelation. Aside from that, in humans, they speak about the reptilian brain. That our column has a form of a serpent. Even they talk about reptilians now in today's day and age. Might it be that we are cousins of the reptiles or something like that? We're sons of the greatest reptile, which is Yahweh. No, I don't think we have to do anything with that species of real serpent, not also Yahweh with that species, but it's a symbolism that is used because of austerity, because of the attack, because of the lethal poison they have, the fear that it produces. That is why, and because of how deceitful he is, all those attributes, this is a good symbol for me to represent certain things. That is why it's a symbol only. It has nothing to do with that species. That species could have things that are ours, like we have, because evidently God created everything and created it based on what He knew about His own body and everything. If every animal will find like thing. If I look at the eyes of my dogs, and it's just like a human being, and it's a dog. And so then, of course, we have similar things. The animals have things like we do, that about the brain, and certain things. They have a liver, a heart. So they have the reproductive system is very much like ours. Or just look at the monkeys, how they reproduce, if you don't believe me, and what the monkeys do on their own. It's very much like man and humans. See, God created based on what He was. So then the animals are an expression of God, or ours, at a very much lower level. That's what happens. So there are brethren. Yeah, well, it's not that there are brethren, but they are part of the same life of God. They are. Another question. Why did Elohim not show us His face? How could we represent Him in our brain when we speak with Him? It's already difficult to create an image of the Father or him or her. There are many conspiracy theories. I'll mention some. I do not allow myself to be deceived by them, but there are times that some do make some sense. I thank the four angels and okay, the conspiracy theories, I don't care much about them. In this case, the scripture says that Yahweh is the image of man and woman. So then, in one way or another, either he has no sex or he has both sexes. He's not a man only. He's not a woman only. Excuse me? We cannot even see the face. How are we going to see the sex? That's what I'm saying. We cannot even imagine how he looks, or she, or them. It is not because he's a substance. If we were to, we would be destroyed if he were to appear. It's a stupidity that he can only live in the mind of a Christian. Only. Yahweh does not show the face. It is because He doesn't want to show it, or He doesn't want us to see it. For one reason or another, He doesn't want us to see it. So then, that does not bother me whatsoever. And if somebody wants to show me a face or not, until they show it. But we, in conjunction, humans, I believe that if we would put together all the humans together in a program, in a computer, and for all to look in the same face, it would pretty much look the same face of God between man and woman. What they would have there, it would be the face of Elohim. So I'm not worried about that. What else does it say here? And the theories, they're simply theories. And I also don't trust in the theories of humans that do not have the principle of wisdom, which is the fear of Yahweh. Then they can say many things. There are so many theories of every aspect. I guide myself only due to the information that I have in Scripture and of God, especially in the Torah, that says that we are created in His image. Man and woman in the image of God. That's it. It's over. Whenever He wants to show His face, let Him show it. When He wanted to represent Himself like an old man, like a quadriplegic on a wheelchair. That could be it. Was that Yahweh? That's how he wanted us to see him right there. That meant he was an old, very wise man, an ancient, older than everyone, and in a place of authority. That is all that it represented. Did Yahweh saw? Did Daniel see Yahweh? No, he just saw a symbol. Very well. Another one. Another question. Give no importance to the speculations or comments or theories that the people talk about God. That is he a woman? No, God is not a woman. God is not a woman. Because to say he's a woman is only woman. God is not a woman. So then, he's also not a man. He is God. He has both things. Another question. Are we in a simulation and that we reincarnate once in time over and over, and that before we went into this world we choose in what family to be born? Also, it is said that we can reincarnate many times. Well, I don't believe in reincarnation, not in the very least. I don't believe it. I don't believe it because it makes no sense. If reincarnation, as many say, the Jews say, is to learn from the mistakes we learn in life, it is no good because we have no memory. So then, if in this point in time, the humans, we would be a lot better people than 1,000 years ago, I would be inclined that we are becoming better, but it turns out that humans are not better. Of course, what have we learned? Nothing. If they were to give us 2,000 years more to learn more, what we're going to learn? No, of course not. Not about reincarnating and reincarnating to lose your memory. What good is the experience if you lose what you learned? You can learn, for example, to speak a language or to do some type of work, and you receive a strike to the head and you forget. What good is all the experience if you don't remember? Nothing, none whatsoever. So then, reincarnation does not exist. It is an absolute stupidity and it makes no sense. Very well. Next one. The theory of restarting. The other question was, wait, hold on. The other question that I didn't comment on was that if we live in a world, in a simulation. Okay, if we live in a simulation or not, that I do not know. But for us, it is absolutely real. Like it was to all who lived in the Matrix. You cannot differentiate the reality from non-reality. So then, if we live in a simulation, it's the same thing than to live in a world that's absolutely real. Because for us, time, the substance thereof, the matter, is real. The day that there is a failure and I touch like this and it goes past my hand and says, hey, what happened here? There is a glitch in the system and that I can't grab this because I can't grab it, or I see my dog floating. So then that is where we could say there's a glitch in the system, something's going on. But I've never seen that. And I think it's all very real. Now, for me to see that it's a simulation, it could perfectly well be a simulation, and that Yahweh has us here to learn certain things. Perfectly well, it could be. But does not take away that I could live a real life here, whether it's a simulation or a real world, either way. And that we have to continue to protest. Very well. The theory, and that we chose in what family to be born in. But of course, I'm not going to answer those questions because I don't believe in anything that has to do with reincarnation. I don't believe it. I want that to be clear. I don't believe it the very least that what if we could reincarnate? No. Just like that, no. It makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. And to choose in what family to be born, wow, that is very, very even less. The theory of restarting, that every time and when humanity has been reset to be able to control us, there are pictures of very ancient technology that today there isn't. And there are questions of how they build the pyramids. It's all mysteries. It's all mystery, absolute mysteries. of things of technology that we have lost already. For example, the greatest mystery that the world this is irony. The greatest mystery of the technology that we lost, and that was only 50 years ago, is how we got to the moon. In the years of 16 of the glorious 69, when Leslie was born, we got to the moon like nothing, and the next year we got there again, and then the next year we got there again. We took a rover, a car, we would take pictures. There was no type of delay between the communication of the moon and the president of the US. It was all like a dream, and it was all lost. We lose the technology. We lose it. Now we want to go see the moon, and we cannot cross. There's always problems. We cannot get there. Although we lost the technology of the batteries. They say that the moon, it goes from -0, -100 to +100. So then those lunar suits, they had batteries that we lost the technology that will cool them quickly. Now we would need something, because if you were in an oven of more than 100 degrees to cool you down just like that, but in 69 they had that technology, and we lost it. We lose things. We lose lots of things. We've also lost the technology of how to travel in a place where there's zero atmosphere. There's no nitrogen, no oxygen, nothing. It's an empty space, a vacuum, an atmosphere. In Spanish they say it's like there's a nothing. It's like an emptiness, absolute emptiness. So then in absolute emptiness, you have nothing to push off of, because it's empty. You cannot push anything. You cannot push because it's empty. All the motors that move on this earth are based upon something. A car pushes upon the terrain, and it pushes itself. If you're going to fly, you either have wings, or you have motors that shoot air backwards, and it pushes you forward. If air does not exist because it's empty, there's nothing that you can push off of, and to be able to move your wings 1,000 times over, because you're not going to move from there because nothing pushes the air. Do you understand what I'm saying? Well, in the year 69, these 3 idiots, astronauts, got on that thing, and from there they came up out of the moon, and they initiated a rotation to find, wow, I mean, do we look like idiots? I mean, or all the people look like idiots in the Mexican sense of what an idiot is. The word pendejo, which is used different in Argentina. So then how can I think about the president, the scientists, and I mean, I'm already sick and tired with the lies that Yahweh made. He must laugh at it. He must have designed that I'm going to make him believe how we're all going to be, make the whole scenery, and we're going to have fun, and the stupid idiots are going to believe it. There's no difference between those stupid idiots that believe that we went to the moon when it is absolutely impossible. Those very same idiots, in a different way, believe that God has a son. That in all the Bible, he never had a son, and all of a sudden, he gets a son out of nowhere, and he gives him. And also to die on the cross. So it's the same stupidity. And we conclude, where is the Elohim of justice? Where is he? Very well. So then, I could care less about any theories of resets of how they made the pyramids. I could care less about it. Just like that, I could care less about it. Because it's kind of like the hole of the rabbit hole that you start to dig it and it never ends. And the deeper you go, the more it takes you deeper, but it's a distraction. So then if in this world, it's all distractions that Yahweh created. You think that humans could have created those pyramids? No. Yahweh could have created them directly, just like that. Yahweh. There's a text in Isaiah that says that Yahweh does everything. Could it be those pyramids? I'm not going to get into that or investigate that, but if my mind starts to think, oh, I want to know how the pyramids were made, because it's impossible to move those stones that are 15 tons that up until today we cannot move with a group of slaves pulling from a rope. How the fuck did they move it? How the fuck did they cut it? They cut it with such precise cuts that not even a razor blade could go through the... See, I could give a fuck about that, how they built it. I'm not going to lose 1 second of time thinking how they did it to make these pyramids, because I could care less. Because it is a distraction to what the Son of Man has to do on this earth. Then later, I'll see all the stupidities that Yahweh made that we don't know about. Because he really did a whole bunch of things. It's kind of like the pyramids, a whole quantity. How the fuck there's kangaroos in Australia and nowhere else in the world? How did that appear? Why is it that are people with black skin and white skin and yellow skin? Why are there people with their eyes that are very much like this and others that are very round? Where the fuck? How did he change Adam and Eve to get to that? That's more interesting than the pyramid, because Yahweh did it. Yahweh did it. At the end of it all, we were either very black or very white. What were we in the beginning? They were just like me, Adam and Eve. I'm sure they're going to look like Christian and Leslie, Adam and Eve. But taking those theories out, how the fuck did we mutate? You say the sun. In Africa, they're the laziest there are. They don't work in the sun. They're below the trees. And it makes no sense. And I take a group of white men there and I leave them 1,000 years and they're not going to become black by themselves. No, because it's different. It's different. How the fuck are we so different? All the races. It is a mystery. Ellen White solved it. Ellen White said, the amalgamation between animals and human beings, the amalgamation between humans and human beings and animals, we can see it in certain races that exist today. She said, she was right in herself, because I think she was in an amalgamated. She was amalgamated with an ape. She was right, but it was only her. She had a face like a chimpanzee, and the chimpanzee and like her, they're the same. So then I believe that she spoke for herself only. Something happened, a genetic experiment, and she came from there. And with a chimpanzee, and just like that. The rest all dog shit. Of course not. Of course not. It would be crazy to think that Yahweh made something like that, because that would be something which is not repairable. Careful, because if he entered genetics, how are you going to get rid of it? No. Elohim didn't do that. Elohim, it could be, maybe it could be done, because maybe, but not an entire human being can come from that. No, we agree. They are mysteries. We should not get deviated with the mysteries. How to make the pyramids, I could give a fuck. All I know is that the moon, they did not get there, and these sons of bitches that make me want to believe that we went to the moon 50 years ago, 55, and we cannot go back. These sons of bitches make me believe that the viruses, oh well, we'll leave that there. I mentioned it already. Oh well, that's fine. That they exist, and that you have to be very much of an idiot to believe it. It is the same thing that the demons exist. Same thing, all the same thing. So then, forget about trying to go to the rabbit hole. It's a waste of time. An absolute waste of time. Okay, Gnosis speaks about the conscious astral travels. This is when you exit your body and you travel to other dimensions, of course. You're on drugs and on mushrooms. I've not experienced it, but I'm asking about this. Okay, astral projections, astral travels are dog shit. I know that many, and even some of you, have experienced that. But the mind is very powerful. It makes you believe that you come out of your body, that you abandon your body, that you see it down, look down, and that you can travel somewhere else. It is a sensation that's surreal. You will never be able to abandon your body and go wherever the fuck you want. Or else come and visit me during your travels. Go visit your mom. You can't speak. See, you can't speak to her. But try to look for secrets. Look for combinations in your astral projections. Look for a combination that gives you money. Do something that gives you money. Find things out. You cannot. You cannot. Absolutely, it is stupidity. But that the sensation exists, it exists. That the people swear that they go to sleep and they see themselves and they elevate themselves and they see the earth. How do they see the earth? You think that they can see their soul and see the earth? It's stupidity, just like that. Absolute stupidity. And that the people feel it? I agree. I don't think they lie at all. But from them to actually traveling to a place, I think they thought, when I dream, I have some astral projections to unknown places. That doesn't mean that my mind left 1 second somewhere there to travel. Our conscious always wants to help us. Is it bad to ask ourselves things so that our brain can develop the answers or the way to help us? There are people that talk about the collective conscious, like Dr. Carl Jung, where our brain is kind of like a computer and it is connected via Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi, like they say in Spanish, for the collective conscious, and obtains all the answers. Similar to Neo from Matrix that would download all the programs. Here, let me ask you, is it valid to ask if one ourselves or the subconscious contains things like with medication, hypnosis sessions, and of the technology to find questions or answers to the questions, or actually we have to find them in the Bible or in prayer? Okay. About the collective conscious, I think there is something that unites us all. Why? Because Elohim created us from his spirit. And we're all one same spirit, and at one sense or another, we're a different spirit. I want you to understand. I'm not saying that we're a spirit, no. But at some point, we are united, because the point of union is Yahweh. You understand what I'm saying? So then, at some point, we are united, and sometime, for some reason, humans start to think, and the masses start to think about something, and the whole world, they start to think about that something, and if they find the answer or whatever, or the worry about something, it's the massive effect takes place. It is a massive effect where it takes control upon a group of people, the spirit of something, but in everywhere, the whole entire group. And it was clearly seen, the fact that the whole world believed in the lie of the cup of wine 2019. That is where we see an effect. So then that we are joined somehow, I agree, that if I start to think about something and I project some my thoughts to other human beings that say, I don't know why, but I'm thinking about that. I could believe it, maybe. I could see it with my wife that I think about something and then she says, I want to eat this, and then I thought about that too. Or either she projects onto me or I project into her, or also in this group. that I think about saying something and they tell me directly, yes, that I said it, and I say, wow, what happened? Either they listen to us, Leslie, or there's something which is projected way past that. I think that there's something that is projected way past that. There is something. I'll leave it up. I'll leave it there. There's something. But I would not get into any technique of anything. Not me. Not me. To try to find. No. The technique of the meditation, use it to better yourself, to see if you have problems, to work on a problem, nothing else. Not because of meditating to leave your mind wide or blank and to find a superior conscious. No, none of that. It's not that. Also, don't look for answers in prayer, because that's why you have all the Christians. They're always praying. The Jews also repeating stupid things, and it's not the true prayer. The true prayer is really what you're going to do now, to right after this subject, to say, where is the Elohim of justice? That is the best prayer that you could have. We are sick and tired to give power, that you give power to Babylon. Give power unto the Son of Man. Give power unto the Messiah. Fulfill your prophecy. That is what the best prayer you can make. It was taught by Yahweh himself by saying the widow demanded justice or not. She wasn't demanding food. She demanded justice. Then after all the techniques, kinesiology, and all those, I personally discard them all. I do not get into any stupidity. I myself. Another question. Can the kids sleep together in a room? I ask because sometimes I keep them like that in my house. I have a very spacious room, everyone with its space and house and bed, so they don't have any territory problems. It is a 7-year-old male and 2 baby girls of 4 and 2 years old. Well, they're little and they still don't have a problem. A 7-year-old male and 2 girls of 4 and 2 years old. But when the girls grow, or the male grows, best thing you can do is either you divide that group into 2, or the girls are going to go sleep somewhere else, right? And you will know that when 4 and 2 years old and the 7-year-old male, well, it's not the ideal that they all sleep together. The ideal exactly. But maybe even before, like in this case, there's so much difference in age. When in 5 years from now, the male will be 12 years old and the baby girls are going to be 7 and 11. That would be a good age to separate them right there. Exactly. You can make a wall right there in the same room. Yeah, just a division, and you cut it halfway through if there's no other place, right? So then that is what I would recommend. But sooner or later, you're going to have to divide it. Very well. Another question. Is sleeping equal to dying? I understand that the same thing. That's how Yeshua mentioned it in the Bible. Well, I understand that it's not the same thing. Because when I go and sleep a nap, I'm not going to die the nap. In some sense of the word, to sleep is equal to dying. In the sense that you're not conscious and time passes by and you don't notice it, but you're alive. And the dead person is dead. The one that's sleeping is alive. His heart is working, his mind is working, everything is working, and with any little noise he's going to wake up with a cold bucket of water. But the dead man, the heart is stopped. He is becoming rotten, nothing works, and you don't wake him up with anything. So then, it's not the same thing. That Yeshua or Yahweh had said, for God, the dead is as if they were asleep. I understand that. But in this exact sense of the word, One is alive and the other is dead.
pero en el sentido
We could
exacto de la
compare it
palabra,
only to a
uno
certain
está
level,
vivo
but it's not the same thing. So then,
lo
it is
podemos
not the same thing
comparar
to
solamente hasta cierto nivel, pero no es lo
sleep
mismo.
than to
Entonces,
die. Now, a
no es
dead,
lo mismo dormir
because
que
of the
morir.
language, we could
Ahora,
say
un
he's
muerto,
asleep,
por
but
esa
that is
bondad
only
del lenguaje,
to
podemos decir está
soften
durmiendo,
the terrible
pero es para suavizar el
the
terrible,
terrible reality of death. Death is terrible, just like that. I see it as terrible. I see it as terrible because we are, thanks to this God of injustice, we are not able to come back from it. And when we face death, actually, for us, it is a shock so great and unacceptable that we try to bring down the price. And we say, it's kind of like, he's asleep. He's taking a nap. Instead of saying, I killed the dog, he says, I put him to sleep. But that, no, you could put your neighbor to sleep also that bothers you, or your husband that bothers you. You say, I put him to sleep. I put him to sleep. I put the baby to sleep. Of course, you think you really put him to sleep, not that you killed him. It says, if you say, I put him to sleep, then they'll screw you right there, because our language softens things. The death up until today, or up until as long as we're still alive, our mind does not accept death. Our subconscious does not exist. Nor past, present, or future exists. It is an existence that is outside of time. It is today. It's present. And death, the subconscious does not accept it. Does not accept it. It has to disguise it, because we as living beings, we do not accept that we're going to die. The Bible says so that we start to make becoming conscious. It says if we know something, we know that we shall die, because the reward of sin is death, and if man knoweth anything is that he shall die. All that dog shit is against our own nature, that is life. If you have life, the life does not allow you to understand that it is what death is. You have to accept it either way, but to understand it, we don't understand it. No one understands what death is. We see it, but we don't accept it. We cry, we bury it, but actually we have such a pain of something that we want, that we want. We have the pain still. There's no way of curing death. That about a time cureth all things. I understand that it cures. It deletes. It softens. But actually, when you lose something which you didn't want to lose, it's going to hurt you always. Death has no cure. The only cure from death is resurrection. There's no turn of the page. There's no turn of the page. You can disguise it by sleeping and all that dog shit. No.
Lo puedes disfrazar durmiendo y toda la mierda. No.
The cure is the resurrection. There's no turn of the page. Period. That's it. So then, it's not the same thing to sleep than to die. Two. No, not two. I'm still with other question. Another question. 2 hours 20. Another question. Hello, Christian. Greetings to your lineage. Blah 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 blah. Might it be that brothers-in-law or sisters-in-law can be upset because of how you are bringing your children up? This is my question. Greetings and blessings. Might it be that brothers-in-law and sisters-in-law can be upset about how you're bringing up your children? Okay. Let us correct the question. Might it be that brothers-in-law or sisters-in-law can be upset about that they can? It makes about that they can do something, of course, that they can, or if they have the right to, if they have the right to, if they have the right to say anything. I'll answer both. Like, if can they get upset? They can get upset. For everyone, from the neighbor, the grandma, the bitch that bore you, they can all get upset how you bring your children. That is clear. But it's to be able to, because of the, just because of getting upset, they can get upset. Of course. Now, do they have the right? That is the question. Do they have the right, your brother-in-law, sister-in-law, to get into your business? Do they have the right? Well, there, I will say, put an asterisk on there. Because if I see an injustice at a level of violation or a sexual abuse or a level of punishment, absolutely physical without any sense, well then I will step in. If I see it, or else I wouldn't know. But I see my brother, my sister making some sort of those abuses, I will get into it, not to teach. I'm going to get in that case, to defend the children. So then I want to take that question and say, no, I'm not going to get into it, even though they, I don't know, hanging from their feet and striking them. It says, well, if he wants to bring them up that way, that's fine. Taking that out of what's logic and about what's abuse and legal, of course, illegal things, taking that out, then we have no right to get into how somebody else brings up their children. Exactly. So then if my sister-in-law or my brother-in-law, they want to get into how I treat my children, I'll send them to the fucking bitch that bore them. And if we have to strike them, they could strike them, because nobody in my family would get into it. That, with my lineage, that's the way I would have told you when I was bringing up my children. I would not accept anyone except from a person that I respect a lot, and that would have to be a wise man that tells me, it's not convenient for you to do this. It's convenient to do something else. For example, that hammer would come and tell me, I would accept it. But out of my own family, no. And knowing that they don't know shit about anything, no. And if, from the eternal truth, you were to ask me whether the others get into it, or why don't you put them into the vacuum cleaners and to school, or why don't you try to or bring them to my house, leave them a little bit with me, I'll take them to the park, things, those types of things. It is an absolute no, but not to the point of a fight. I'm not going to be saying, no, I don't think so. Don't get into this. I'm going to say first, look, don't ever get into my business. If you mention how I bring my children up, you're never going to enter into my house. But what happens? Maybe the one that is asking me, they live in the house with the sister-in-law, because that would be the most likable. What is the solution? It's all wrong from the beginning. Maybe it's the house of your brother-in-laws. Of course, exactly what Leslie says. Maybe the children, they jump on the couches. Maybe they jump. Maybe they get things dirty and they break balls and things. So then your sister and brother-in-law says, hey, hold on. Of course he's right, because you're not in your place. And if you're in your place and you brought your sister-in-law because they don't have nowhere to live, you give them the right to tell you, because that's why you brought them, or not. Or not, kick them out. So then there's so many variables. Is it that brothers-in-law can get upset because of how you're bringing your children up? They can get upset all they want, but from that they have some influence with you, that depends from where you live, why you live there, and how much you give them. If they get upset and you're in your home, don't speak to them ever again. No one has a right to get upset in someone else's house. I have no information to answer this, because here I would have to know where your brother-in-law lives. Let's say they live somewhere else. So then, but you get together. Don't get together again. Right, don't get together again. It's only for you to tell them, look, one of the eternal truth that knows Germanic medicine, it's only for you to tell them, look, don't tell me again how I'm going to bring my children up. Because maybe he's right. Maybe the brother-in-law says, hey, why do you let your son yell a lot? Yes, of course, but that no, if you're asking me, is because it bothers you. So then there's only one thing left, is to say, look, I don't want for you to tell me one more word about how to bring my children up. So then if you tell me, I don't want you to visit me and we lose our relation. And if you accept that, then, well, we could see each other now and then. It's very simple. And if you live together, the question doesn't even enter why you live together. You understand what I'm saying? Every home should have their own territory, else why do you live together? Yes, completely, absolutely. Your question is it needs a lot more information, just like that. It needs a lot more information. I'll answer something again that I've always said. Do not get married if you're not going to live alone. Do not have children if you don't have a house. Don't even start to date if you cannot even feed yourself. The problem is that you start to date, you don't feed yourself, you get married, you live with your parents or with some relative, you don't have money for anything, and you leave your girlfriend pregnant or your wife's pregnant, and it's even worse. You're depending on someone else. It is precisely one mistake upon another, upon another, upon another, upon another. Very well. Let's see. I have some others. I think I'm going to leave them for next Shabbat. I like this one a lot, but I have to develop this one more. Very well. Let's leave the questions there. The rest of the questions, I know that you know who has been. You didn't read mine because I almost tell him I'll read it this Saturday, but I don't throw them away. I leave them there for later. Very well. Bikkurim 2024. Let us go into 1 Corinthians 15, 21 through 23. A very, very interesting text. 1 Corinthians 15, 21 through 23 reads as follows. Let us go here. There's, wow. 299 likes. Let's see. 299 likes. So if somebody gives us another like and we get to 300, who gives 300? Let's get to the 300 Gideon. Who forgot to give us a like? 262 live. 300. Who was it? He won a reward. I'm not going to say because they're going to say, hey, 300. 300 likes. 301. That's the way I like it. There's two that forgot. Okay, very well. 1 Corinthians 15, 21 to 23. For since by man came death, also by man the resurrection of the dead came. Okay. I'll stop right there a little bit. We've always understood, and we continue to study up until today, and understand till today, and today I'll try to go into depth into this. Who was that man by which death entered? Adam. But was not the one that sinned Eve, or in this machismo it doesn't count? Which of the two humans ate the fruit? Was not Eve? It doesn't count at all. It says, no, it didn't enter through Eve. It entered through Adam. But why does it say that? Might it be so that it entered through Adam? For by which death entered by one man, by one man also the resurrection of the dead. Important, because the solution to death is, and there's no other solution. There's no, but it's terrible. Forgetfulness itself is something that is so pernicious. What we have forgotten is there, so that we don't die. Because if I a whole bunch of aunts and uncles that I wish I could see them, and I love them, and they're dead. Forgetfulness and distance, I can see them at a distance, but how pernicious that is making me forget something that I loved and that I wish they were alive. If I were to give them 10,000 more years, and I would forget ever that they even existed. You understand what I'm saying? So then it's forgetfulness is pernicious. It is a solution that's evil. I mean, it's a solution because it's a solution, but it's a malign, malignant one. Correct. Very well said, like Armando would say. Of a solution to survive, a survival situation. It says, for since by one man death entered, who was it? Adam. Let me tell you, who's Adam? Yahweh. The only one responsible for death entered into the world is not Adam, it is not Eve, it is Yahweh. Because without Yahweh, there's no death. Who created death? Yahweh did. Who imposed death unto men? Yahweh did. Don't believe that it was the tree of the science of good and evil. Don't believe that stupid shit. The one that certainly said, ye shall die, that certainly shall die, today shall die, is Yahweh. So then, there is no other man that is not Yahweh who imposed death. So then death entered through Yahweh, and death exits through Yahweh. Why? Because that is why he came to die. The same one that gave the command of death, that's the same one that had to come and die. It is very clear. Even if we see Adam, we see it as in the prophetic Adam. Who is the prophetic Adam? Yahweh. Who is the woman? We are. Eve. We are. Yahweh is Adam is Yahweh and Eve is us. So then even if you prophetically see it that way, then Adam is Yahweh. Whereby death entered by Yahweh, perfectly well said. Also through Yahweh, the resurrection of the dead. Exactly. You understand it? That's the way it is. Because just like in Adam, they all die, also in the Mashiach, all men should be made alive. And here Paul is trying to teach us something. He wants to teach us clearly that death entered through Adam, and we see who that Adam represents Yahweh, but life entered also through Yahweh, but at a prophetic level. Because Yahweh came, Yahweh died, Yahweh resurrected, and Yahweh left, and the people are still dying. In fact, 2,000 years ago, nothing changed about the death of the people. The Lazarus that resurrected for just a couple of years, and then he died again. Do we agree? Or is Lazarus alive? He's dead. So then, the true resurrection enters through the Mashiach. That is the true resurrection. Yahweh, by saying, I am the resurrection and life, is speaking by the mouth of the Mashiach. Paul understands it clearly here and says, also in the Mashiach, all shall be made alive. And how many are all? All are all. It's not that just those that repent, those that do teshuvah, those that do confessions, those that are baptized, those that, no. They all shall be made alive by whom? By the Mashiach. That is what the Mashiach will illuminate every man. It is absolutely magnificent. Absolutely magnificent. And this is what Bikkurim means. This is Bikkurim. Because the lamb dies during Pesach, the lamb resurrects during Bikkurim. And with him, by the lamb being resurrected, then also the first fruits of barley are resurrected, and 50 days later, they resurrect, quote unquote, the first fruits of the wheat. So then, Pesach, since it's the feast of the Messiah, it is when the Messiah should receive power to make everyone alive. But very interesting what I'm reading, what it says here. where by death entered by one man, also by one man the resurrection of the dead. For as in Adam all die, also in the Mashiach shall all be made alive. But every man in his own order. The Mashiach, who is the first one that has to be made alive? Mashiach. What is clearly said, the Mashiach is not non-mortal, he's mortal. The Mashiach needs to be made alive, of course. I know that the Christians are going to say, no, because the Mashiach has died already and is referring to the resurrection. No. The Mashiach has to be made alive, or else he cannot be a Mashiach. This is the order, that the Mashiach, the first fruits, then those that are of the Mashiach in his coming, then all. The Mashiach, the first fruits, the Bikkurim, then everyone. All who accept the Mashiach. That is what Bikkurim is. Bikkurim is the first harvest of the Mashiach. Let's go to Revelation 14, 1 through 5. There's some of you that still, it's difficult to understand this. I don't want to say that you haven't understood. It's difficult for you to understand this. You think you're a part of the 144,000 because they like that a lot. That was a very, very great honor in the Adventist church to think. They wouldn't even let you think. The 144,000 were the most glorious that could exist. The most glorious thing that could ever exist. And Ellen G. White saw herself in vision that she was a part of the 144,000 and all that and blah, blah, blah. But no Adventist is going to say, I am a part of the No. You're not going to say that. Wow, such an honor that only God would choose who the 144,000 would be. And still some of you have that sensation that, oh, maybe I could be wrong and be teaching something wrong, and that actually we are a part of the 144,000. Revelation 14, 1 through 5 says, and then I saw, and behold, the Lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having the name of him and of his Father. That about him and his is added, is not in any original version, not even in the older ones of the Spanish RV 1960. So then that has been added. It has been added by the Trinitarians. It does not exist. I'll read it as it is in the rest of the Bibles without adding anything. That had the name of his Father written on their forehead. So then the 144,000, it's a symbolic group that have a name on their foreheads. Nobody writes a name here, no one. But symbolically speaking, they have a name, the name of his Father, their Father, of the 144,000 written on their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. And they sung as if it were a new song before the throne and before the beasts and the elders. All are symbols and a great parable, all this. And of the elders, and no one could learn the song, but only those 144,000 which were redeemed. It doesn't say the word redeemed, but actually the word that is more correct, bought, would be bought, but it's the same thing. Redeemed or bought from between those of the earth. So then the 144,000, a symbolic number that speaks about a group that is bought, that was selected from amongst the rest of the earth. These are those who did not contaminate themselves with women, for they are virgin. Many believe, and up until today the Christians believe that they are a group of Jews that did not touch a woman. But I say, can they be more of an idiots? They are such idiots. They think that we, more of an idiot than those that think that we got to the moon. Those that say that we got to the moon are more intelligent than this group of Christians that say that it's a group of bearded men that have never touched a woman. They could be 144,000. This is all a parable. It's all symbols. The women are not women. The women are religious groups or philosophies. That is what a woman is. And why are they virgins? Because they did not sell themselves to any church. These are those that follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. That group follows the Mashiach, who is the Lamb, whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed or bought from within men as first fruits, and you have the word Bikkurim in Hebrew as first fruits for Elohim and for the Lamb. It's like the Lamb, it's like to say the Mashiach. So then we have Elohim, the Creator, the only one, unjust for now. And we've got the Mashiach, who is the Lamb, and we've got a group which is not the philosophy of the religious groups that said when the Lamb showed up, because they must have seen him, they said, this is what we want. Everything else, fuck it all off to hell. We believe those are the 144,000. How many are they really? It doesn't matter how many they are, 144,000. What this means is that they follow the Mashiach in everything that they do. Is this group ready? No, this group is not ready because the Mashiach is not ready. Who can follow the Mashiach? The Mashiach is not there. If the Mashiach is learning in a school and is learning that Elohim still wants more time and that Elohim is unjust, the Mashiach is not ready to go out anywhere. When the king was anointed, King David was anointed many years past, until he took the throne. So then the Mashiach is not followed, not even by his mother. No one follows the Mashiach. In fact, if you see him, just for believing what he believes, it's enough for people to insult the followers and to tell any type of insult. So then, these 144,000 represent those which, when the Mashiach appears, they will not say, oh, this is the Antichrist. This is the Antichrist that precisely, in my church they told me that he was going to show up. No, you shouldn't even look at him. These 144,000, I suspect that they're going to be mostly, I don't know, once again, it's just I suspect, and most of them are going to be Jews that are waiting for Mashiach. And mostly, and the rest, some Christian here and there, very open-minded, and the rest, people, per se, atheists, flat earthers, the conspiracy theorists that are against the system, that they suspect that every system of lies, it's all a lie, and they don't really know what the truth is, but they suspect these are the 144,000 because they don't sell themselves to the system, and they accept when they see this figure that will appear, they're going to say, that is what we wanted. I did not know it. I didn't even know it existed, but now that I see it, I want that. These are the 144,000, and it's very clear that it says that they follow that Mashiach whithersoever he goeth, because of the crazy things he says. But we are not a part of that. I want you to understand that, because the Mashiach has to be, and then the rest of the world. And there's a great difference between that group and the rest of the world. So then, that is why those 144,000, and I suspect, when it says 12,000 sealed and says the 12 tribes of Israel, I suspect that most of them, that indicates that it only indicates that they come from Judaism because they wait. They expect a Messiah, and the Messiah that will appear has all the ideology that they have. Not about the laws, not about the theories that they have, but only about one Elohim. And it's give or take about what they're waiting for when he appears. I think most of them will be from that side, from the side that is waiting for a Mashiach. The Christians will see an Antichrist once and for all, an Antichrist, an abominable one. So then, those first fruits are the first fruits corresponding, give or take, to what a Bikkurim is. The first fruits. Okay. What are we going to celebrate tomorrow? Tomorrow, we celebrate another chapter of Pesach, which is called Bikkurim. Bikkurim means for all the new bees, first fruits. The story was like this, give or take. After the Sabbath, the weekly Sabbath, from the 14th of Aviv, every time there's a 14th of Aviv, either the 14th is the Sabbath or the following 14th is Sabbath, but even the Aviv was a Sabbath. The following day was Bikkurim. Bikkurim was when the fields, give or take in the times of the wheat, they were ready to be harvested, and even though they were not ready to be harvested, that was kind of green, it would be dedicated either way, a part of the field, to do this right. First, they would cast lots between all the tribes, what tribe would be the one. That was how it was back in the old days. Then they would throw lots to see who it would be, that one that would get the honor. So it's a great honor to take a part of your harvest, green or not, doesn't matter, of your harvest, to take it, so that the Kohen Gadol, or the high priest, would do a right. What was that right? It was an absolute stupidity, and I'll tell God in the face, because I do not agree with the stupid rites, but they would grab this before the altar, and they would offer it to God and say, "This is for you, God," and they would shake it like this, and all the world, wow, and then blah blah blah. I don't know what the fuck they said. Everyone like this. The guy shaking this. That's why it was called the Presenic sheaf, because they would shake it in front of Yahweh, an absolute stupidity. That for my mind, it is just no good. But for the type of human beings, or the level of animals that we had back then when we were children, and what I'm referring to when we were children is when our humanity, not when I was a child, but when as humans we were children in that time, that he imposed this. The people might see it as something so sacred that you see how the movies that they offer things to the gods, it's all stupidity, unacceptable, just like that. That was the right. So then the high priest would come and they would offer it to God, and then I don't know what they would do, or would they would keep it or burn it. I don't know, really. It is not very clear. Maybe they would burn it. I don't know. So then, when they would choose the field and the tribe, and who would have the honor? The day previous to that, to this being done, they would go and mark the territory of where it would be cut from, and they would place a sign there. I don't know if it was the day before Pesach. They would put a sign there, knowing that in the morning of Bikkurim, early in the morning, a commission from the temple would come, and they would cut on the day of Bikkurim a little bit to make a huge sheaf, and they would shake it before Yahweh. So then day of Bikkurim, in other words tomorrow, the territory was already marked where it would be cut from, and they would go early, and they would cut, and at 9 a.m. approximately, they would do this about shaking before Yahweh. That harvest, once that rite would end, then afterwards, they could, not that day, but the following, outside of the feast, they could start to harvest whether the barley was ready. But what does all that mean? It's symbolism, absolute symbolism. I could tell this story that when Yahweh came and he marked the territory of when he died on a Wednesday, it was not a Friday, a Wednesday, the graves were open, it says, and when he resurrected the saints. I can tell you that story. What does that have anything to do? It could have something to do with it, but is that what's going to happen? Well, no, because everything that he told was pretty much just a prophetic prelude of the Mashiach already. Matthew 27. All story that I told you, Yahweh playing the role of Yeshua, give or take, he marked it. It is a true fulfillment, none whatsoever, entirely. But Yeshua, having once again cried out in great voice, he gave up the spirit, and behold, the veil of the temple was cut in two, from top to bottom, and the earth trembled. Here is the mark that I've just told you, previous one. And the graves are open, but notice the graves are open, but they did not come out. And many bodies of the saints which slept arose. But he'll explain it now, not in that moment, and came out of the graves after his resurrection. This means a tremendous mistake in Scripture. It cannot say that in that time that he died, the bodies came out, they were resurrected, but after his resurrection. The way it was written is very incorrect. It was easier and more clear to have said, the graves were opened, and the bodies resurrected after his resurrection. But it says that the graves after his resurrection, and when many saints that had slept arose and came out of the graves after his resurrection, and went into the holy city and appeared unto many. What craziness is this? No, I don't know. One thing, Yahweh came up with it. First of all, Yahweh came up with it. Because I no longer believe, none whatsoever, that he grabbed a group of these and he took them to his heaven. Of course not. Of course not. That does not exist. Before I used to tell the story that the Adventists taught me, and then from there a little bit better, that the 24 elders, that's part of the group, that Yeshua resurrected and he took them. Absolutely not. There is no human being with Yahweh. If there were one human being with Yahweh, those 24 elders, then he doesn't need any bride, he doesn't need anything, anybody, because who would be wiser than those 24 elders? It doesn't exist. Yahweh is alone. Yahweh alone, plain.
No existe. Yahweh está solo y aburrido, jugando al malo como
Good and evil with Babylon. Just like the king would take wine with, what was the name of the guy? Ahab? Ahan? What was his name? Marduk? Amen. It says that the king would be drinking with Amen. So then, the king, who is Yahweh, is drinking with Babylon. He's alone, he's bored. There he is playing with the evil one. That's the way it is. Absolutely, it's the way it is. So then there is no one, there's not a premise that they made us believe that God, Jesus, took and presented. They lie to me so much. That Jesus, I wouldn't say with those Christian words, that Jesus, when he resurrected, a group of faithful people arose and he took them to heaven like first fruits, and he resurrected those who were imprisoned, and he took them to heaven and he presented them to his Father. How many times did we hear that story? That is, if we really got to the moon. if we really, in 1969, we got to the moon, then that happened. But that didn't happen. We didn't get to the moon. And they lied, and it's only been lies, the inheritance of our fathers, all Christians. There's no one, not one sole human. If there were, that would be the Messiah. Why the fuck is it going to take a group of people that have already more than 2,000 years more than the Messiah, and is going to treat the Messiah like an idiot, whomever they are? Why? Because they're going to see us as not experts, inexperienced, that we have a lot to learn. And they who were next to God for 2,000 years, they are. Why are they not the Messiah? Because it's a parable. Those 24 elders do not exist. Just like also do not exist the four beings that worship, they do not exist. It's all a representation of symbols. I want you to understand that clearly, because I see that in your Christian mind you think that in heaven we have God and his 24 elders. There isn't anybody. There's more of a chance that he's drinking, playing with prostitutes here on earth. There's a lot more of a chance for that. Tell it to you right now. Just like that. That there is a chance about there. And we'll refer with prostitutes is with his prostitute, Babylon. Okay, I'll move on. It's as follows. What was I reading? Oh, wait, I was reading. Many bodies of the saints who had slept arose and came out of the graves after his resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared unto many. Well, this that would seem that it would be a fulfillment of Bikkurim, but I've told you already, last Shabbat, Pesach has to be fulfilled, and this time for real. It was first fulfilled in Egypt as a sample. It was filled with the death of Yahweh. The lamb was perfect. But with the Mashiach, the definite one, that feast are for the Mashiach. That is the reality. So then, when I thought, and I had already taught the entire life of the eternal, because that's the way I learned it, that Pesach was already fulfilled, and that we should not wait for any fulfillment of Pesach, because it's already been fulfilled. With the death of Jesus, Pesach was fulfilled. With the resurrection of Jesus, Bikkurim was fulfilled. And with YHWH, the Holy Spirit coming down was fulfilled. It's all fulfilled. That's a lie. It's all small glimpses of the feasts. They have not been fulfilled completely. They have to be fulfilled completely. When the Mashiach appears, that feast has to be fulfilled. Just like that. As simple as that. So then, once I read that to you, now let us go to the command in the Torah. Let us go to Leviticus 23. Leviticus 23, 15 through 17. Which began this for all the newbies. What is begun during Bikkurim? Something very important that we have yet to understand what the reason is, but it initiates, and you shall count. We're obligated to count. In the Torah, you shall count from the morrow after the Sabbath, weekly Sabbath today, the first Sabbath, where Pesach is given, the first Sabbath, after the 14th of Nisan is given, whichever it might be, of the Shabbat unto the following day of the Shabbat, in other words, tomorrow, from the day in which ye shall have offered the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 weeks shall be complete. 7 weeks have to be counted. Unto the morrow after the 7th day of rest of the following week, the 7 days of rest, ye shall count 50 days. So then, what is the countdown of the Omer? The Omer countdown is counted during Bikkurim. Starts in Bikkurim, it's the day after the Shabbat. After the first Shabbat, once Pesach is fulfilled, then this is the Shabbat. Due to today's example, this is the Shabbat. This Shabbat ends and Bikkurim begins, we have to count 7 weeks entirely,
Hay que contar 7 semanas completas,
50 days.
50 días.
And that 50th day, Shavuot, it's Shavuot or Pentecost. I'll translate it. So then,
Entonces,
how do we
¿cómo contamos
count this
esto?
from tomorrow,
A
starting
partir de
tomorrow?
mañana,
We
contamos.
count. And there's no need for you to publish it. Count it at home every day that passes. Just count it. Week number 1,
Semana uno,
day 1.
día uno.
Tomorrow will be
Mañana va a ser
week 1,
semana
day
uno,
1.
día uno. Lo que los
The calendars that I've published,
les he publicado,
they clearly
claramente
have the
están en el
countdown
conteo
so that it's
para que
even
se le
easier
haga
for
más
you.
fácil.
If you
Si usted
look
ve
at
el día,
the calendar of Aviv, of Ishar or Ziv, I have not published it yet. There's clearly a number. If you look at the calendar, it says Bikkurim,
dice Bikkurim, el día
the
19
19th
de
of
abril,
Aviv, which is tomorrow, or the 28th
28
of April, which is tomorrow.
abril, que es mañana,
It clearly says
dice
1.
claramente uno.
In the inferior part of the calendar of that day, a red square says 1. That is the countdown of the Omer. You have it there so you don't get confused. So then tomorrow is week 1, day 1,
Día uno,
and you count it week 1, day 2, week
día dos, semana
3,
tres,
hold on, pardon me. Week 1, day 1, week 1, day 2, week 1, day 3, week 1, day 4, week 1, day 5. Week 1, day 6, week 1, day 7. Following Shabbat will be week 1, day 7. I'll write it here. Week 1, day 1, day 7. When the sun goes down, it'll be week 2, day 8. Barely then will we enter the second week, and that is how we count the 50 days, the 7 weeks. And why this countdown? I've asked it many times over, and really, I hope that it's something important. Because to make this, to count like this, like idiots, I don't like. I know that in ancient times, at the end of this countdown, Moses ascended, Yahweh descended in Mount Sinai, and with trumpets, with a show that the people were horrified with, because they had to present a show there. At the end of this countdown, we had the disciples united, according to what they say, and they felt a rumble and they received the power of the Holy Spirit, which was no good except to form a movement, even if it were false. According to them, they say, and it says, they had a special gift of speaking in tongues, or at least of hearing. They heard, I don't know if they spoke in different languages and the others could hear, or if the others had a miracle that they could hear in all the languages. I don't know. And I don't care anyway. But at least that countdown was good. Because the first one, he gave the Torah. Second countdown, in partial fulfillment, it was the coming of the Holy Spirit to some point, according to how they say. I wasn't there. That the people are asking, are these guys drunk? And Peter says, no, they're not drunk. It's 9 a.m. They're not. We drink later. We don't drink this early. We do drink after 5, but 9 a.m. no. It's too early. They might be a little hungover, but they're not drunk. Hungover, yes, maybe, but not drunk. So then, the best, that when this is fulfilled, Yahweh, that it is something good, because to count like an idiot, it really bugs me. I'm not in the time of worship, of waving this, of doing stupid shit, no. But I will count. But the day that it is fulfilled, it better be something good. You better present a good show. And we get the show of the mountain there in Mount Sinai, and the show of the Pentecost of the disciples, and we mix it all, and we present a good show. That will, if something's going to descend upon the Messiah, may it be spectacular. Not a gift of tongues, but the King of the Abyss. We don't want a gift of tongues. I have it here. here it translates in my video to whatever language. Fuck off with the language. We need the key of the abyss. And it'd be good to have a countdown for the giving of the key of the abyss. Would that be good or not? Because for me to count like an idiot, Yahweh, I'm not 4 years old or 5 years old. Just count and then celebrate. No. No. And why? What does that have anything to do, Shavuot, with the key of the abyss? The name itself, what it means, and the meaning thereof. During Shavuot, the bread had what? Leaven. And leaven is a symbol of what? Of life. Of life. Exactly, of life. And life is life. Resurrection, that is what life is. And so then, if precisely it is contrary to the death of a bread that lacks leaven during Pesach, and in Shavuot we have to wait to obtain life. If you see it like that coldly, we go from death, 50 days, into life. That is what it indicates, the bread, the right. Death of the lamb, literal death. Dog shit bread that is dead without life, and start to count. We count 7 weeks, 50 days exactly, and I'll give you life, which is either the rendering of the Torah. What does the Torah mean? Instruction in life, that is what the Torah means. What does it mean? The Holy Spirit coming down, and it's life also, because what is the Mashiach waiting for? No one's waiting for this, no one, except for the Mashiach. The Mashiach is waiting for the key of the abyss. The key of the abyss has to do with Shavuot completely. It is leaven, life. And with that leaven, I leaven the entire dough. He opens a hole and brings out locusts or whatever. Why? That's what the prophecy says. So then, knowing those symbols, it has never been fulfilled, actually, nor Pesach. They had partial fulfillments. Pesach, nor Bikkurim, nor Shavuot. With the Mashiach, it'll be fulfilled absolutely. It has to be fulfilled strongly. The rendering of the keys. Don't you find that interesting? Leviticus, we're reading Leviticus 23:15 to 28, and says, and you shall count from the morrow after the Sabbath, from today, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering, the wave offering, beginning this. 7 weeks shall be complete, even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days. And then ye shall offer a new meat, which is of wheat, the best, unto Yahweh. Why? How do I offer it? Resurrected. Notice, from your habitations bring 2 wave loaves of 2/10 deals, the best type of flour, fine flour, shall be baken with leaven. Baken with leaven, it means that they are already resurrected. It is not the same matzah, dead bread, as first fruits unto Yahweh. As first fruits unto Yahweh. What are the 144,000? It says the 144,000 who were bought or baken or redeemed, the same meaning. From those that dwell upon the earth, those are the ones that did not contaminate themselves with women, for they are virgins, for they follow the Lamb, that Mashiach, whithersoever he goeth. They have been redeemed from amongst men as firstfruits unto Elohim and unto the Lamb, or the Mashiach. And out of his mouth was not found any lies, for they are without blemish before the throne of Elohim. So then, what begins tomorrow? What begins is a countdown that when this is fulfilled, it'll be worth to have counted. with our whole heart to count it.
Porque miren,
To see, what if this year, wow, what if this year, Yahweh says,
Yahweh dice,
you didn't notice, but Pesach, you were fulfilling, like I've been fulfilling with my own debt. Your debt wasn't needed, your death. But this time, because or else your death would make no sense. This time, lamb, as if he had been sacrificed, like he went through the sacrifice already. But to give the keys, I want you to count the moment. So then it brings my hopes up to wait for it with lots of expectation. Will it happen this year? I don't know if it'll happen this year. That's why I get your hopes up to count with expectation, always to demand unto Yahweh. We'll have time later. After the date happens and nothing happens, we can continue to protest. But that it's going to happen after this countdown, there is no better time. In all the feasts of Yahweh, not in all the prophecies, a more adequate time. That means resurrection. Then Bikkurim tomorrow, and Shavuot. It's both resurrections. The first one is the resurrection of the Mashiach. And the second one is Bikkurim. And the second one is the resurrection of the work of the Mashiach. The Mashiach receives power to resurrect. That is why I tell you, I never lose any hope. I live every day as if today is the moment. And personally, I will count every one of these days as if Yahweh will give unto us the key of the abyss during Shavuot. And if he doesn't do it, there's always time to insult him later. And to say how unrighteous, how unjust. You really deserve everything I will tell you because you promise and you don't fulfill. You don't come through. Even if you say it wasn't the time, I could give a fuck. But the key, you have to hand it over. And when is the time of handing it over? It is Shavuot. So then I will count as a believer, as a child that still believes in Santa Claus, to wait for the gift. If he doesn't want to give it to us, later the insults will come and we'll continue to demand and protest. That there's time for that. But what if what I'm saying will be fulfilled? Oh, you're going to repent of not waiting with expectation. That cannot happen to us. Not one of these prophecies can be fulfilled that the Mashiach has not waited for. The Mashiach has to wait for these things to be fulfilled with such expectation, like a child is going to receive something, like that son of man that will receive the land. And if the guy that has to give him to you still doesn't hand him over, then well, someday he'll sign. But let us not let this opportunity pass of counting this with expectation. There's nothing nicer than to wait for something. You know, I've already told you 1,000 times over that when you wait for a gift, you enjoy it to the day that you receive it. When you receive it, you don't enjoy it anymore. That's the way it is. It has an effect. There is an enchantment. I'm going to receive this. I'm going to receive this. And when you receive it, you're so emotional and everything. But yeah, but then later it's like, it's beautiful to wait. Beautiful to wait. And not saying that we're not going to enjoy it afterwards, of course. But do not miss out in the beauty, the enchantment of waiting that Yahweh hands over the keys of the abyss, the Shavuot. And it is very possible that it be this year. It is very possible that it be this year. And since it's very possible that it's this year, because we've already fulfilled the 70, because it's a few years left, because we're so sick and tired, because we've already done adjustments. We've passed up to 1260, 1290, 1335. We've already received the white stone. Then what do we have to wait for to count? It is very possible for it to be this year, and let us do it with illusion and to have our hopes up. But let us wait with our hope. Let's wait with hope. That is my advice, to wait really enthused that we're going to receive it, because we are going to receive it. Let us go to Isaiah 44, 6 through 8. In the word of God for everyone in Spanish, 6 through 8. 44, 6 through 8. Thus saith Yahweh, the King of Israel, the Savior, the Almighty Lord. It's all in only one being. Yahweh, King of Israel, Savior, and Lord of hosts. How many? Only one. There's no son, no father, nothing. I am the first and the last. And beside me, there is no God. Oh, it's easy to understand. It says that cannot be. You have the Trinity. No. I am. The only God that exists is I. And who is like unto me, that I have declared that I call and that I shall call and shall declare. Okay, it's well said. That shall call, pardon me. And who as I, that only being, that only God that exists is I, who is like unto me, that shall call and shall declare it and set it in order, and it shall declare it for me to be convinced to see if there's another God. Who has said what will happen way before it happens, for us to be told what will happen in the future? Do not be afraid. Do not tremble. Did I not proclaim my purposes for you long ago? In other words, since the very beginning, from the beginning, you are my witnesses. Is there any other God that is not me? No, there is no other refuge than me. I love these texts that speak about an only one being. And that one only being is not the Mashiach. But that only being has to take the power that he himself gave to Babylon and give it to the Mashiach. First thing he has to do after the countdown of the Shavuot, which means bread with leaven with life, it is to hand over the key of death, the key of the abyss, for they themselves and for those who want to resurrect. Without any further ado, I wish for you to enjoy Bikkurim, that you comprehend what it means, life and resurrection of the Mashiach. Bikkurim is what it means. And for a countdown to begin for something that is phenomenal, something that will be historical, and that we shall celebrate forever, or else it would make no sense to make us count. Because in order to make us count, and for nothing to come, that feast would make no sense. I'm not referring about now. It means that when it does come, the one that will receive will be counting in a way that's very, with such expectations. Could it be this year? Perfectly well. And that is how I will count it, in that way. The countdown of the Bikkurim. Do it personally. Those that want to publish it, they can do so. It is not a duty or something that I incite you to do so, but whoever wants to do it can do so, like always, but it's not an obligation. That's what I'm trying to say. But count it yourself. Today's the day. Week 1, day 1, tomorrow. And that is how you count. Like, wow. How long is left? How many days are left? Let us get our hopes up. Even if we're like idiots, even like a stupid bride. And the husband says, I'm going to give you a signature and also my assets in 50 days. Let us get our hopes up and believe what we're going to receive. This is the correct spirit to celebrate Bikkurim and to begin to count. Without any further ado, let us wrap up with a word of prayer. Beloved Yahweh, we give you thanks because you have given us prophecies, laws, and everything is mixed between both things. We are now before the beginning of Bikkurim, which was meant when you were human, it was your resurrection, but it could also mean that your Mashiach will resurrect, in other words, receive a life, an eternal one, non-mortal. And from then on out, 50 days afterwards, to receive the power to resurrect, to bring others to life. That is what Shavuot means. We desire it for it to be this year. We really don't know your plans, exact ones, precise ones, nor when you'll execute them. But on our behalf, we have done everything that's necessary. And now we'll start to count. We'll start to count every day. Also, calling out that you are an unjust God. Where are you, Elohim, Yahweh of justice? Because we don't see justice. That is why we're going to count every day. And every day we'll call out, where is the Elohim of justice? Week 1, day 1. We don't see the Elohim of justice anywhere. And every day, I personally will repeat that phrase. Every day, I don't see the Elohim of justice. I will see him when you give us what you owe us, what's promised, the Mashiach, the key of the abyss. All this we ask for. In your precious name and powerful name, Yahweh Sabaoth, our Creator, our Elohim, our husband, and our Father. In your precious name, we ask for these things. Hallelujah. Semper Fi. Let the laurels be eternal that we knew had to achieve. Crowned with glory, let us live. Long live the bride, the Argentum bride of the sons of Elohim, who are about to receive the key of the abyss. Where is the Elohim of justice? That he deserves a boo. Let's see, boo. Once again, where is the Elohim of justice? Boo. Boo. We don't see him anywhere. To each and every one of you, we send you a great big hug. Our most sincere and beloved hug at a distance, and our blessing, and that we may count so that this may really be fulfilled, that we can count waiting for this to be fulfilled. The end is inevitable, for the destiny is written. Let the laurels be eternal that we knew how to achieve. Crowned with glory, let us live. Hallelujah to every one of you, and a very happy Bikkurim to each and every one of you. Hallelujah.
Aleluya.